Chapter 49:35. The Invincible Alliance was located on the Kangming continent. There was only one force on this continent that controlled a region. This region was called Dalio Heaven. This name was naturally given by the Invincible Alliance. This region was ruled by the Invincible Alliance, and experts were everywhere. Inside a huge palace in Dalio Heaven, there were people sitting and drinking wine. These were the higher-ups of the Invincible Alliance, and they were also some of the higher-ups and elders of the Invincible Alliance. They were all sitting together, drinking and chatting. Alliance leader, something happened. Elder by He Yuan, who went to deal with Fengyan Tower, is in trouble. His soul tablet shattered just now. Besides him, Qiao Zifei and a few other experts all escaped. A figure walked in quickly, knelt on one knee, and reported. The expressions of the people who were drinking immediately changed. This situation was unexpected. That's impossible. Everyone saw Brother Bai's strength. I heard that he went to deal with Gu Yun of Fengyan Tower and a guy called Sword Saint 33. How could he die? Is there a mistake? Or is it a trap? If it's a trap, then Fengyan Tower is too despicable. They must pay with their blood. They really couldn't believe that Bai Heiyuan was killed just like that. That was the strength of a peak 2-star, invincible war god. It was a little hard to believe that he was gone just like that. The person who was called Alliance Leader was the leader of the Invincible Alliance, Bai Wudi. He was a true genius. When he was young, he could almost be said to have dominated the entire continent. He was a man dressed like a scholar. He put down the cup in his hand and said indifferently, "Our Invincible Alliance hasn't suffered such a huge loss in a long time. Since it's related to Fengyan Tower, let's use our Invincible Alliance's treasure to pull out Elder by Heiyuan's soul. We'll know what's going on." His voice was neither soft nor loud, but it was filled with terrifying majesty. The higher-ups and elders all knew one thing. That meant that the Alliance leader was very unhappy and angry. This meant that someone was going to be unlucky. A sword treasure flew out and shone brightly. Then a huge screen appeared. Bai Wudi stood up and formed a seal with both hands. A strange power spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, a spot of light appeared on the mirror. More and more of these spots of light gathered, and in the blink of an eye, they gathered together. This was an invincible treasure of the Invincible Alliance, and it was an invincible treasure of the highest quality. Although it was of little value, its effects were indeed terrifying. It could summon the souls of the dead back, and this mirror was called the Departed Soul Mirror. Only powerful people could summon the souls of the dead. They could know the cause and effect in a short period of time. Of course, some secret realms or tombs of the god of sin could not do that. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be a problem. As soon as the treasure was activated, more and more specks of light filled the sky, and a figure appeared just like that. This person was none other than Bai Heiyuan. Bai Heiyuan was stunned for a moment before recovering. "Alliance Master, you have to take revenge for me. I was killed by that Lin Mu from Wind and Cloud Tower. That guy hid his strength, and he also has a divine deity." It was a simple sentence, but it was enough to move the expressions of everyone present. Godhood, that was a treasure that any invincible war god would want to obtain. It can't be. That guy really got a divine deity. If that's the case, then I finally understand why you, Elder Bai, were killed by him. This is too infuriating. I went through more than 10 tombs of the god of sin and didn't find a divine deity, but Wind and Cloud Tower found one so quickly. The expressions of these people turned completely unsightly. Everyone present had gone to explore the tombs of the god of sin, but compared to Lin Mu, they were really far behind. Bai Wudi's expression also changed as he looked at Bai Heiyuan. "What you said is true. That Lin Mu from Wind and Cloud Tower really has a divine deity." A divine deity was too important. Even Bai Wudi was moved. The Invincible Alliance was very strong, but it wasn't the number one faction among the 4 top factions. If they got their hands on a divine deity, the situation would be completely different. Their overall strength would increase by a lot, and they would be able to suppress the Abyss Hell and become the #1 faction among the 4 top factions. I guarantee that it definitely has a divine deity. You also know that I cultivate a special mystique. If I say it does, then it does. I've never been wrong. Please avenge me, Alliance Master, and kill that guy. You're a member of the Invincible Alliance, so of course I'll help you kill that guy. Not only that, I'll even help you kill that sword Saint 33 and Gu Yin. Bai Heiyuan's figure on the departed soul mirror dissipated with a whoosh, completely disintegrating. He really died. The departed soul mirror only lasted for a short while. Bai Heiyuan's strength was a little weak, so he couldn't hold on for too long. Even so, everyone realized that something big had happened. Alliance leader, let me lead a team to capture Lin Mu. Although he was able to kill Bai Heiyuan, who was a 2-star invincible war god, he must have used some tricks. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy. The higher-ups and elders present all began to volunteer to go out and fight. He had to make a move to capture Lin Mu. That was a divine deity, and it would be a great achievement. When the time came, they would be able to obtain a large amount of resources. Most importantly, they would have the right to fight for the final ownership of the divine deity. This was what made them the most excited, because many of them had the right to obtain the divine deity and become a lower god in a single step. Then the 3 of you will go to Fengyun Tower together and ask the Tower Master to hand over the person. Otherwise, don't blame the Invincible Alliance for being impolite. Remember, don't mention the divine deity. Bai Wudi obviously wouldn't interfere in such a matter. He immediately arranged for 3 higher-ups and elders to go. They were all experts at the peak of the invincible war god realm. The strongest among them was a 5-star invincible war god. He could be considered one of the top 10 experts in the Invincible Alliance. The other 2 were 4-star Invincible Alliance. They didn't believe that they wouldn't be able to capture Lin Mu this time. Of course, they knew that they couldn't go there with the divine deity. They could only say that Lin Mu killed there by Heiyuan and they were there to take revenge. If the Tower Master didn't hand the divine deity over, they would use force. After obtaining a divine deity in the god's tomb, Lin Fei's strength increased greatly. His physical body directly reached the 90th layer. As soon as he returned, Lin Fei began to flip through information regarding divine deities. Chapter 4936. Lin Fei was indeed flipping through the information regarding godheads. There was quite a lot of information about the divine spark, and it was intermittently available. After flipping through it, Lin Fei also knew that in the past, if one wanted to become a lesser god, the first step was to condense a godhead. Wanting to condense a godhead was not an easy thing to do. It was extremely difficult. Therefore, if one wanted to become a lesser god, a godhead would require a large amount of power of faith. This was also why Lin Fei's physical body suddenly reached the 90th level after refining a godhead. It was really beyond imagination. There were even signs of divine power in his body. Although it wasn't very obvious, Lin Fei knew that with the power of divine power, he could easily kill an expert at the peak of the invincible god of war realm. Whether it was a 1-star expert or a 9 stars expert, they wouldn't be able to withstand the power of divine power. After reading the information, Lin Fei also realized that it wouldn't be easy for him to obtain these godheads again. Previously, it was like a blind cat bumping into a dead mouse. He was considered lucky. It wouldn't be so easy to obtain godheads again. Right now, I'm still 10 levels away from the 100th level. If I rely on the power of faith alone, I probably won't be able to reach it in a short period of time. Therefore, if I want to rush to the 100th level in one go, I'll need godheads. If I want another godhead, I'm afraid it'll be as difficult as ascending to heaven. Naturally, Lin Fei also realized the difference between the 90th level and the 100th level. After reaching the 100th level, there would be a huge change in his physical body. Lin Fei definitely wouldn't miss such an opportunity. He decided to go to Fengyun Tower's Hall of Merit to take a look. That was a place that was specially open for them. Here, they could accept large and small missions, and they could also investigate all kinds of information. It could also be considered a benefit for experts like them. Of course, they would have to spend a certain amount of contribution points. Even top-notch experts would have to use contribution points to exchange for a certain amount of credit, a certain amount of information, and a certain amount of clues. Lin Fei quite liked this method. Everyone had a good impression of Lin Fei, this new expert, especially after they heard that he had caused the Invincible Alliance to suffer a huge loss. As for how much they had suffered, no one knew. In any case, from Guyan's words, everyone knew that this Lin Fei was much stronger than they had imagined. In this way, the strength of their Fengyun Tower would be even stronger. The stronger Wind Cloud Tower was, the more confidence they would have when they traveled outside. It was equivalent to having a backer. Ordinary people would have to consider the price they would have to pay if they wanted to make a move. This was the benefit of having a strong team. Elder Lin, do you have any arrangements for today? This was where the information on the godhood was obtained. The people here only knew Lin Fei. As soon as he saw Lin Fei, he took the initiative to greet him. This was an elder of Fengyun Tower. I want to know where I can find the godhood. I think our Fengyun Tower should have such information. Lin Fei took out a token. The token was quite special. It could be used to search for any information within a certain range. It was just that Lin Fei had not used it much. This time, he felt that he could take it out. There was not much change in the expressions of these people. They said very respectfully, "Elder Lin, please wait for a moment. We will immediately help you find out if there is any information in this area." Lin Fei was not in a hurry. Information like this could not be found in a short period of time. As long as there was a clue, Lin Fei was not in a hurry. After a while, the person returned with a document in his hand. Our Fengyun Tower still has information on the whereabouts of the godhood. These are all places that can produce godhood. You can take a look, but only here. As long as there was information, there was no problem. Lin Fei directly entered a room not far away. These rooms were specially built for them to look at the information. There was no need to worry about being infiltrated or spied on. The information was very simple and not very detailed. It could only be said that there was a certain probability of godhood appearing. Of course, to Lin Fei, as long as there was a certain probability, it was fine. However, the probability was too low, only about 10% to 20%. The highest was about 50%, which made Lin Fei quite disappointed. Places like this were no different from trying their luck. These places seemed to be more dangerous than he had imagined. He looked all the way. Lin Fei almost rejected all of them. It would be a waste of time to go to such places. Eternal Land. Lin Fei quickly saw one of the pieces of information. He frowned slightly. It did pique his interest. This place was called Eternal Land. It sounded different from the name. This information was much more detailed than the previous ones. A battlefield in the Eternal Land. Without the strength of a demigod, it is impossible to enter. Damn, the requirements are quite high. A demigod is a half-step lower god. They should be able to cultivate a trace of god power in their body. Just like me now, I have cultivated at least 100 traces of god power. Lin Fei sighed inwardly. One had to know that to become a lower god, one had to cultivate 10,000 traces of god power and godhood in order to become a lower god. It didn't sound difficult, but in reality it was quite difficult, especially in terms of god power. There were strong and weak demigods. It all depended on how much god power you had. Take Lin Fei, for example. Although he only had over 100 strands of divine power, his physical body was already capable of slowly cultivating out divine power. It was just a matter of time. After all, Lin Fei's physical body was very different now. Lin Fei made sure to remember this immemorial land. As Lin Fei continued to read, there didn't seem to be anything special about these places. After looking through them all, Lin Fei committed this immemorial land to memory. He returned all the information. Lin Fei left, but in his heart he was already thinking about this immemorial land. This was the only place that he felt had a chance of producing a godhead along the way. That was because that place was very mysterious and terrifying. One had to be at least a demigod to enter. Lin Fei's current strength could be considered a demigod. Although he hadn't fought a real demigod, ordinary demigods shouldn't be a match for him. The aura of the Invincible Alliance is here. Are they here for me? Before he returned to his residence, Lin Fei sensed that someone from the Invincible Alliance was here. Although they hadn't gotten close to Fengyun Tower, Lin Fei already had a karmic connection with them. Hence, he felt it immediately. Whoosh! Lin Fei's figure disappeared from Fengyun Tower. Chapter 49:37. At this moment, there were indeed people coming. The 3 experts of the Invincible Alliance directly rushed towards the Invincible Alliance, but their movements were not very fast. This time, they were here to find trouble with Lin Mu. As for the others, they did not intend to attack. If that was the case, there would be big trouble. Even if they attacked, they would be very careful. As long as Lin Fei left Fengyun Tower, he would naturally be their target. Otherwise, they would not dare to attack him directly. Fengyun Tower was not to be trifled with. They might even suppress them. They did not want to encounter such trouble. Elder Gao, I think it's not difficult to deal with Lin Mu. We just need to capture one of the people from Fengyun Tower and threaten him to come out. Then we can set up a formation and naturally take him down. An expert at the peak of the Invincible War God realm said. Gao Fei was the leader this time, and he could be considered as one of the top 10 experts in the Invincible Alliance. This time he naturally had absolute confidence in dealing with Lin Mu. That's a good idea. As long as Lin Mu comes out, naturally there will be no problem. We can't just kill our way in. Gao Fei was also quite confident in his own strength. If you asked him to kill his way into Fengyun Tower, it would definitely be impossible. The difference was too big. Fengyun Tower's powerful formation alone could weaken his strength. When that time came, they would not be a match for him at all. Not to mention anything else, they would not be able to withstand a continuous battle, so they could only fight outside. Invincible Alliance, you actually came to find trouble with me again. Do you think I'm easy to bully? At this moment, Lin Fei's figure directly walked out of the void. Gao Fei and the other 2 peak Invincible War Gods' expressions instantly changed. They did not expect that before they could find him, he would actually come to them first. Could it be that his senses were so strong? All of a sudden, their hearts sank. This guy seemed to be much stronger than they had imagined. That wasn't a good sign. So you are Lin Mu. That couldn't be better. This time, you killed an expert of our Invincible Alliance. Come with us. A large hexagram formation directly flew out. It landed on Lin Fei's head. Beams of divine light shot down from the sky, freezing the void in an instant. Even Lin Fei's cultivation levels seemed to have dropped after the beams of divine light struck down. I know you're strong, but I brought the treasures of the Invincible Alliance with me this time. This formation is used to suppress your strength. The 2 experts at the peak of the Invincible War God stage waved their hands. A rope flew out and wrapped itself around Lin Fei's body with a dazzling golden light. So this was also a treasure of an Invincible War God. It was specially used to tie people up. Once tied up, no matter how strong one's body was, they would not be able to break free. Not to mention the fact that his power was being suppressed. This time, when they came to capture Lin Fei, they used some tricks. They would not recklessly clash head-on. They more or less knew that this guy was very strong in close combat. Otherwise, he wouldn't have killed Bai Heiyuan. Therefore, they came prepared. They used a formation and a treasure right from the start. It seemed like the effect was quite good. It seems like you came prepared. As expected of the Invincible Alliance, you came with a formation and a treasure of an Invincible War God. You're really rich. This method was indeed quite powerful. At the very least, ordinary experts at the peak of the invincible war god stage would not be able to withstand it. However, it was a pity that the Lin Fei they met this time was different. Although the hexagram formation was very powerful and suppressed his cultivation level in an instant, the ropes on his body were also binding his physical body. But now that his physical body had reached the 90th level, it was naturally different. The Invincible Alliance's methods are naturally not something you can imagine. Now, come with us. One of the ropes moved, as if it was going to pull Lin Fei away. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fei's golden chains flew out. The other one did the same. He raised his hand. His palm slammed into the six-pointed star formation, and with a crash, the six-pointed star formation was sent flying. The beams of divine light that landed on Lin Fei's body were also blasted away. Then it collapsed in midair. This is still too far away. Gao Fei and the other two experts at the peak of the invincible war god stage instantly felt their hearts tremble. The counterattack landed on their hearts and made their blood flow chaotic. Oh no, we still underestimated this guy. Lin Fei waved his hand, and a cold light enveloped them. Everywhere it passed, the void was directly frozen. This time, the great freeze that Lin Fei used was even more powerful than before. It was infused with traces of divine power. Even though the three of them instantly activated their treasures, they still could not stop it. It enveloped them. In an instant, they were actually frozen. They couldn't believe it at all. Even Gao Fei was the same. He was the strongest among them. However, even the strongest among them was unable to withstand the power of the frost and was directly frozen. The power of the frost seeped into his flesh and blood, and he could not resist it at all. Since you are looking for trouble with me again, then I shall send you away. Let the Invincible Alliance know that I am not so easy to bully. No matter how many come, I will take care of them all. A ray of saber light instantly slashed down. No. The three of them screamed. Unfortunately, they still could not stop the saber from slashing down on them. They were immediately beheaded. As expected, now that my body has become stronger, so has my strength. Furthermore, with the support of the strands of divine power, the power of any of my moves has become even stronger. I wonder what the Invincible Alliance is planning this time. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei kept the bodies of the three of them, leaving no traces behind. Then he punched the void, and everything within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles collapsed instantly. All traces were directly wiped out. At this time, even if a great expert came, they would not be able to find any traces. Everything was destroyed by Lin Fei's violence. After dealing with the three of them, Lin Fei directly used great instant movement and returned to Fengyun Tower. Fengyun Tower's array formation was dispensable to him. Without any effort, he returned to his residence. The more Lin Fei thought about it, the more useful great instant movement was. This matter was thrown to the back of Lin Fei's mind. Right now, he only wanted to understand the Eternal Land. Information alone was not enough. He had to continue investigating. Chapter 4938. Killing a few experts was nothing to Lin Fei. But for the Invincible Alliance of Daluo Heaven, it was not a good thing. Bei Wudi was alerted immediately. He had arranged for Gao Fei and the others to capture Lin Mu, but he did not expect such a big thing to happen. In the blink of an eye, Gao Fei and the other two invincible gods of war had fallen. When they received the news, Bei Wudi and the rest of the higher-ups could not believe it. It had only been a short time, and they had received such bad news. It could be said that they had suffered heavy losses. Outrageous! How could Lin Mu be so bold to kill Gao Fei and the others? It must be a trap. It must be Fengyun Tower's doing. It must be a trap. Otherwise, with Gao Fei and the other strength, how could they be killed so quickly? This Fengyun Tower is too much. Leader, I suggest that we immediately go to Fengyun Tower to seek justice. Otherwise, the Invincible Alliance will not be able to take this lying down. It could be said that the higher-ups of the Invincible Alliance would not be able to take this lying down for a while. After all, 3 invincible gods of war had been killed, and Gao Fei was dead. The other 2 did not matter, but Gao Fei's death was a different story. This Fengyan Tower was too hateful. Of course, Lin Mu was also very hateful. Otherwise, they would not have suffered such a big loss. Bei Wudi's face was cold and ugly. This was completely different from what he had imagined. It was really too different. An expert like that was gone just like that. It was not easy for an invincible god of war to appear, let alone one who had reached the peak of the invincible realm. The death of one was a big loss. Bei Wudi's first thought was to take revenge. If that was really the case, wouldn't it satisfy Fengyan Tower's wish? Of course, Bei Wudi would not fall for it. If that was really the case, wouldn't it satisfy Fengyan Tower's wish? Of course, Bei Wudi would not fall for it. He was even more certain that this was a trap made by Fengyan Tower. They had deliberately used Lin Mu as bait and foolishly fell for it. This was definitely an unforgivable thing. We have to think about this matter carefully. Wind Cloud Tower has obviously tricked our Invincible Alliance this time, and that Lin Mu too. There was no way Bei Wudi would leave just like that. Of course, his hatred for Fengyan Tower only grew stronger. He decided to have a good chat with the Union of Assassins. At this time, no one is allowed to find trouble with Fengyan Pavilion. Since Fengyan Pavilion can scheme against us, we can naturally make Fengyan Pavilion suffer a great loss. On that day, Invincible North left the Invincible Alliance and headed for the League of Assassins. Lin Fei was not very clear about all this. He had been flipping through all the information related to Godheads. And of course, there was also information related to the Eternal Land. This was especially true for the Eternal Land of Eternity. Fortunately, the Storm House's information was more complete, so he had a deeper understanding of the Eternal Land of Eternity. He even found a few seniors of Fengyan Tower. All of them had been to the Eternal Land and had experienced many dangers. Fear still lingered in their hearts at the mention of the Eternal Land. In their words, the Eternal Land of Eternity was a land of death. It was difficult to come out after going in, and they had gone through untold hardships to come out alive. Even so, they had suffered injuries that had yet to recover. This gave Lin Fei a better understanding of the Eternal Land. This Eternal Land was truly dangerous. Even after entering, they still had no idea what the situation inside was like. They were completely clueless about what was going on inside. They did not have a complete understanding. Lin Fei was a little disappointed, but he knew that the Eternal Land of Eternity was a battlefield of the past, so it was naturally not simple. The more it was so, the more Lin Fei wanted to go in and take a look. If he could find a godhead, then his physical body would directly advance to the 100th layer. Although he was only 10 layers away, there was a definite difference between the 90th layer and the 100th layer. This was something Lin Fei was very certain of. I heard that Taoist Lin plans to go to the Eternal Land. On this day, the Storm House Lord came over. The moment he opened his mouth, it was about the Eternal Land. Lin Fei was not surprised at all. After all, the Storm House had asked many experts about the Eternal Land, so he only needed to make a slight guess to know what he was thinking. That meant that he was going to the Eternal Land. Lin Fei nodded his head. I'm quite interested in the Eternal Land, so I'm going to take a look. Could it be that the House Lord has some information or knows something? The Storm House Lord was indeed surprised. It never crossed his mind that this Lin Mu guy would be interested in the Eternal Land not long after arriving. Even if it was him, he wouldn't dare to enter that place rashly. Nothing good would come out of it, and he might even die inside. Actually, there's nothing worth going to that place. It's too dangerous, and it's really a 9 out of 10 chance of survival. Most people wouldn't go there unless they had no hope of breaking through. You're still young, and your potential is limitless. There's no need to go to such a dangerous place. Lin Fei understood what was going on. The Storm House Lord was probably trying to dissuade him from going to the Eternal Land. However, for Lin Fei, he was different from others if he wanted to increase his strength. Thus, he could only start from other places. The appearance of a godhead gave Lin Fei a direction. It would be too much of a pity if he didn't seize this opportunity, and the Eternity Land was the only place he could take this chance to do so. I'm afraid that won't be possible. Some of my cultivation techniques are quite unique, so it's related to the Eternal Land. No matter what, I have to go and take a look. Moreover, it might not be a good thing for me to stay in the storm house. It won't be long before the Invincible Alliance comes knocking on my door. I killed a few of their experts not long ago, and one of them was called Gao Fei. Lin Fei had no intention of hiding this matter, but to the Stormhouse Lord, it was definitely a shocking piece of news. For a moment, he didn't dare to believe it. You killed the Invincible Alliance's Gao Fei. If I'm not mistaken, that guy's name should be Gao Fei, and he came looking for trouble with me. So if I go out now, it's equivalent to pulling away the hatred. Otherwise, I'm afraid our storm house will have a lot of accidents. The storm house Lord snorted coldly. The Invincible Alliance dares to do that! Chapter 49:39. The Storm Tower Lord had indeed come to persuade Lin Fei not to go to the Eternity Lands. Because the Eternity Lands was different from other places, it was extremely dangerous. It could be said to be the most dangerous place in the great world of gods. It was extremely difficult to come out alive after going there. These people from Fengyan Tower had all gone out for a round. Even so, they had gone through untold hardships to come out. However, it had also affected their strength and affected their breakthroughs. Now, they practically had no more potential to break through. Therefore, the Storm Tower Lord naturally didn't want Lin Fei to take the risk. If he had the time, it would be better to go somewhere else to think about other things. However, after hearing Lin Fei's words, the Storm Tower Lord hesitated for a moment. Naturally, he understood one of the things. They probably really had some tricks up their sleeves. No one could guarantee that they would succeed. Therefore, Lin Fei going to the Eternity Lands was actually a good thing. It was worth a gamble. Of course, the Storm Tower Lord could also see that Lin Fei was different from others. Since he said he wanted to go to the Eternity Lands, the possibility was very high. No one could stop him. The other party's cultivation was indeed mysterious, possessing such strength at such a young age. Even Gao Fei wasn't someone anyone could kill. In the Storm Tower, the number of people that could kill Gao Fei could be counted on one hand. If you're planning to go to the Eternity Lands, then you need to be careful. I heard that there are a few old fogies preparing to go to the Eternity Lands to look for opportunities to break through to the next realm. Make sure you don't run into them, otherwise there'll be trouble. Before leaving, the Storm Tower Lord told Lin Fei a piece of news. Lin Fei was slightly surprised when he heard this news. He didn't expect that there would really be people going to the Eternity Lands. Moreover, they were old things. Needless to say, there were some who had reached the peak of the invincible War God Realm. If they wanted to reach the Lower God Realm, even if they couldn't, they had to at least reach the Demigod Realm. Perhaps they were already in the Demigod Realm, which was why they wanted to break through in search of a fortuitous encounter. This was because a demigod's strength was already very strong. If one wanted to enter the Eternal Land, they would need to be at least a demigod's strength. This news was quite useful to Lin Fei, so he was mentally prepared. They did not prepare for long. Lin Fei made his way to the Eternal Land. This time he wanted to experience the Eternal Land to his heart's content. If he was lucky, it would be great if he could find a divinity. If he couldn't, it didn't matter. After all, luck wasn't that great. At the very most, he would just have to search one place after another. He would always be able to come across a divine spark, even if the chances were too slim. With his current demigod abilities, it was still a piece of cake for him. Lin Fei was rather confident about this. After a few teleportations, Lin Fei arrived on the other side. Now that his great teleportation technique was at the point of perfection, it was the most suitable for traveling. That's not right, that's not right. That Lin Mu seems to have already left Storm Tower and appeared on the other side of the world. Damn, what method did he use? Could it be that he has grasped a spatial technique? Outside Fengyun Tower, two figures appeared. His brows were slightly furrowed. If someone was here, they would definitely be able to recognize him. They were the famous assassins of the Assassins' League, and they were gold assassins. At the very least, they were at the peak of the invincible war god realm. Without this kind of strength, they couldn't meet the requirements of a gold assassin. Of course, other than that, they had to kill a lot of experts to reach this standard. Therefore, once a gold assassin made a move, it was extremely dangerous. This time, they had accepted the mission to deal with this Lin Mu. However, before they could even see him, he had already disappeared. They had already caught the other party's traces. However, the other party had been inside Storm Tower, so they did not kill their way in. One had to know that Storm Tower was one of the top 4 forces. Although they were gold assassins, they would not openly kill their way in. What they liked to do the most was to attack from the dark, catching the other party off guard. However, this time they had clearly targeted Lin Mu, but he had left Storm Tower in the blink of an eye and appeared on the other side. He was very far away from them, and his aura was also faintly discernible, giving them a fright. There was no such information. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have waited outside. They would have definitely left some means to find him. Now, they could only follow his position and search for him. That Lin Mu went southeast. These 2 gold assassins were very ordinary, and they didn't have any deep impression of them. However, the more ordinary they were, the more difficult it was to guard against them. Because people that you couldn't remember at a glance were the most terrifying. Because you would never know this person's origin, because you wouldn't have any impression of them. Southeast, I remember that the most famous place in that direction should be the Eternal Land. Could it be that this Lin Mu went to the Eternal Land? His guts are too big. The 2 of them looked at each other and immediately understood. Perhaps this Lin Mu was heading towards the Eternal Land. They really couldn't figure out why this guy would run to the Eternal Land. Going there was no different from throwing away one's life. Could it be that he was deliberately luring them there? But no matter what, the 2 of them decided to chase after him. They had to get rid of this guy. They came here with a mission, and they absolutely wouldn't allow any mission to fail. Lin Fei teleported a few times and arrived at the other end. This end was a bit more remote. The southeast direction wasn't a lively place, and there weren't as many experts as one would imagine. From time to time, there would be some evil people appearing. Lin Fei didn't have much understanding of these people, and he didn't really like them. He was only heading towards the Eternal Land. He could faintly sense that there was a very terrifying place in front of him. The closer he got, the more he could sense it. Several days later, Lin Fei arrived at the end of the southeast direction. In front of him was a black world, as if it was isolated from the world. It was clear at a glance. Lin Fei knew that this place was the Eternal Land. The black mist isn't simple. No wonder it requires the strength of a demigod to enter. Just this black mist can heavily injure an unparalleled battle god. As soon as he arrived, Lin Fei could feel the power of the black mist. It was indeed more powerful than he had imagined. No wonder not just anyone could enter. Unless one had a top-grade treasure, they could only watch helplessly. Chapter 4940. Even before entering the Eternal Land, Lin Fei could already feel the danger ahead. It was definitely the most terrifying place. No wonder one couldn't enter without the strength of a demigod. Going in was akin to throwing away one's life. But to Lin Fei, this place gave him hope. Once he found a godhead here, his physical body would be able to break through the limit of 100 layers. At that time, his physical body would become infinitely stronger. No matter what, he had to go in and take a look first. Whoosh! Lin Fei's figure rushed into the black mist. The black mist instantly erupted with a dazzling attack. It directly hit Lin Fei's body. Not only was the black mist strong, but it also had the ability to corrode and penetrate. Anything that entered this place would be corroded by the black mist. As expected of the Eternal Land, a terrifying existence. The black mist is too powerful. With such a layer of black mist blocking the way, not anyone can barge in. It's a pity that you've run into me, Lin Fei. You can only stare at me, helplessly. A loud rumble resounded in the air. Lin Fei's physical body smashed into the black mist, forming a vacuum zone. No matter how the black mist attacked, it couldn't do anything to Lin Fei. Just like that, as Lin Fei moved forward, the black mist seemed to have a mind of its own and attacked him from all sides. However, it couldn't do anything to Lin Fei. The entire process didn't take long. In just an instant's time, Lin Fei passed through the black mist. Once he passed through the black mist, ruins appeared in front of him. There were many palaces in the ruins, but it was filled with a quiet atmosphere. This was the Eternal Land. It was a little different from what Lin Fei had imagined. Another youngster. Looks like we have cannon fodder again. Lin Fei heard a voice the moment he rushed over. Following that, a huge palm came crashing down. This palm was as big as the sky, covering the sun. It was like a black cloud that grabbed downwards. The entire void seemed to have been frozen. This move was not simple at all. Lin Fei immediately knew that this was the work of some old monsters. These old monsters were all demigod powerhouses. If they wanted to advance further, they could only come here to take the risk. Cannon fodder? Who are you calling cannon fodder? Lin Fei laughed heartily and slapped him with his palm, clashing with the palm. With a rumble, the palm flew back. The space beneath Lin Fei had also collapsed. However, it recovered in an instant. It was evident that this space was very different from what it used to be. It was extremely tough and impenetrable. In the distance, a few figures cast their gazes over. It turned out that there were 3 figures not far away. All 3 of them seemed a little surprised, especially the old man who had attacked. His expression changed countless times. With a thought, Lin Fei appeared on a ruin not far from them and looked at them. I don't know if you plan to use me as cannon fodder. If you do, then I won't be polite. At most, we'll have a fight here. I've heard that the Eternal Land of Eternity is filled with danger. If something happens, none of us will have a good ending. The strength of these 3 people was very deep and vigorous. It was faintly discernible. There was no need to guess that they had the strength of a demigod. When they looked at Lin Fei, their eyes were filled with fear. Not everyone could withstand the palm of the person who attacked just now. Moreover, it required a certain level of strength to come in from the outside. Of course, treasures could also be used. Who are you? You look unfamiliar. The one who spoke was the old man who attacked just now. This old man had a cold and gloomy aura. Of course, I'm here to seek opportunities. Aren't you guys the same? Lin Fei replied indifferently. For these people, there was nothing to worry about even if they had the strength of a demigod. After all, their strength was incomparable to his. Lin Fei could feel the aura of God force in their bodies. There shouldn't be a lot of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. These few demigods shouldn't be very strong. Lin Fei's indifference made the 3 demigod experts very wary. They had never met someone so young before. Stop pretending. Take my attack first. The old man who attacked just now waved his hand and sent a wave of energy over. This energy turned into a divine light, and a shadow appeared in the divine light. A palm strike was sent over. The power of this palm strike was very strong, reaching the demigod realm. It was also used to test the guy in front of them. If it was a young fellow who was frightened by them, it would really be a joke. They were all demigod powerhouses. It was very rare to see such a young demigod. Therefore, they didn't believe that there was such a demigod existence. Therefore, they decided to test him. When the divine light that filled the sky came over, the power was really terrifying. Even an expert at the peak of the undefeatable war god would be killed in a moment. This was because this attack contained God Force. It also contained God Force. Such a method was indeed very terrifying. Not just anyone could withstand it. Facing the attack, Lin Fei waved his hand indifferently. The power of his physical body crushed over like a torrent. When they collided with the divine light was instantly smashed into smithereens. He flew all the way to the front of the white-haired old man. A huge bell appeared in front of the white-haired old man. With a bang, the power of the sound wave came back. It easily dissolved the power of Lin Fei's attack. However, it also made them realize that this young man really had the strength of a demigod. Now, their faces turned even uglier. They didn't expect that there would be such a young demigod. It was obvious that behind this young man was a powerful family. Moreover, it must be a top-notch existence. As old monsters, they naturally knew which top-notch factions were in the first layer of the great world of the gods. Of course, there were some powerful existences that could even communicate with the existences in the second layer. Could it be that this was another young master who came down to train? If that was the case, it was understandable. After all, it was too difficult to reach this realm at such a young age. Other than envy, there was nothing else they could do. I don't know if you want to continue testing me. I can fulfill your wish. Chapter 49-41. None of them dared to make a move to test the other party's strength. Even though Huang Xiaolong didn't use any special means, his pure strength was enough to scare them. There was a high possibility that this person was from the other side. Only they had the ability to do so. The Eternal Land had always been the most mysterious place in the universe. Hence, people would come here from time to time. They would come to the Emperor of Eternity's land to search for fate. The Eternal Land was the best place to search for opportunities. As for other places, it was impossible to do so. We didn't know that young noble was here. It was a misunderstanding. The first to speak was the white-haired old man who made a move earlier. He was sweating profusely in his heart. The young man in front of them was actually a demigod. This was quite unbearable. How long had they cultivated to reach the demigod realm? Yet the other party had reached this realm at such a young age. It was truly infuriating to compare oneself with others. This young noble, it was all a misunderstanding. The three of us were just joking. The three of us are willing to compensate you. The other two also started to speak apologetically. In truth, they were really afraid that the young man would make a move. Even though they were three demigods, it would be difficult for them to suppress the other party. Who knew if the other party had any treasures? Most importantly, they couldn't defeat the demigod from the other side. The other party was young, and if he had treasures in his hands, he would definitely be able to crush them all. This was the most unbearable thing for them. Looks like the three of you like to capture cannon fodder to experiment on. Why don't I capture all of you as cannon fodder? Lin Fei harumphed coldly. Naturally, he knew that they had misunderstood him, and that he wasn't from the other side. However, this also made Lin Fei realize that people from the other side would come to the Eternal Land from time to time. Otherwise, these old monsters wouldn't know about this matter. This could be considered a secret. The three of them really liked to capture cannon fodder to explore the way. It was quite useful at the crucial moment. This time, when they saw Lin Fei barging in, they thought that he was just cannon fodder. Even if he used treasures, he would still be cannon fodder. Never in their wildest dreams did they imagine that he would actually be a demigod. The thoughts in their hearts had changed. The three of them laughed dryly. You're lucky. I don't want to fight with you today. Otherwise, I won't let you have a good time, even if we fight until the heavens fall and the earth shatter. Lin Fei snorted coldly. You three old things are probably trying to break through to the demigod realm. Give me a copy of all the information you have, and we can pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise, we can give it a try. There was a loud bang. Divine light surged around Lin Fei's body. and his aura became exceptionally fierce. The three old men glanced at each other and didn't say anything harsh. They just copied the information in their hands and threw it at Zhang Heng. They all fell into Lin Fei's hands. Lin Fei was quite pleased with himself. Unknowingly, he had obtained a few documents. They didn't dare to play any tricks here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be like this now. They would have already fought with him. They just didn't have the guts. They didn't have the confidence to win. Lin Fei really wanted them to fight. That way, he could have a good fight. Unfortunately, they didn't have the guts, so they could only be regarded as missing an opportunity. Lin Fei didn't talk to them anymore. He found a place casually and began to flip through these documents. The three old men were also quietly discussing at this moment. It seems that we're in trouble this time. I didn't expect that people from that side would also come. If the first one comes, I'm afraid that the second one will come. The first one who came has the strength of a demigod. If 2 or 3 more come, then it will be much more difficult for us to find treasures inside this time. God really doesn't give us a way out. We finally found some clues, but I didn't expect that people from that side would already know about it. The 3 of them were all old monsters who had cultivated to the demigod realm. However, it was really too difficult for a demigod to become a lower deity. They didn't have much lifespan left. This time it was considered as a gamble. If they missed this opportunity, then it would be completely hopeless for them. However, they never expected that there would be a demigod who had originally thought that there were only 3 of them. They could still fight with a demigod. Of course, the chances of winning were not high. However, if there were a few more demigods, then they wouldn't be able to fight at all. Now, the only thing they could do was to rely on luck. They hoped that they could try their luck when the time came. If they were lucky, then they would naturally get the opportunity. If they were unlucky, then there was nothing they could do. However, this also made the 3 of them more certain of one thing. At that time, no matter what, they must stay together and must not be separated. Once they were separated, they would be killed one by these demigod young masters. Lin Fei was flipping through their documents. As he flipped through them, Lin Fei found some clues and seemed to understand why they were here. It wasn't surprising that there was an old monster demigod. However, there were 3 demigod old monsters together, so they must have found something. So, they want to enter the deeper level of the eternal, sacred ground to seek opportunities. Then, you are the real battlefield. Lin Fei already knew the cause and effect. Originally, he thought that he was here to try his luck. Now, it seemed that his luck had really come. 3 demigod experts had come here. It was for the eternal sacred ground. The battlefield of the eternal sacred ground was also a training ground. It was built by the number 1 expert of the eternal sacred ground with great means. It was used as a test for the disciples. However, there was an unforeseen event later on, and no one knew about this place. Therefore, it was really rare for these 3 demigod experts to know about such a place. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect that we would come in time. The eternal sacred ground hasn't opened yet. Suddenly, a burst of laughter rang out as a figure walked out from the void. Even the tough void started to tremble slightly at this moment. At this moment, Lin Fei felt a vast aura coming from the void, following which a figure appeared. In that instant, Lin Fei realized that this person was most likely coming from the other side. In other words, it was the 2nd level of the great world of the gods. It was said that one could go from the 2nd level to the 1st level. However, it was impossible to go from the 1st level to the 2nd level unless one had reached the peak of strength. He didn't expect that he would really meet one today. This eternal sacred ground should be more special than he had imagined. Chapter 49-42. As soon as this voice appeared, the 3 old men were the first to change their expressions. They could feel the terrifying aura here the most, and they all exclaimed in their hearts. Another demigod expert had come. Previously, such a young man came, which shocked them and made them wonder if a 2nd demigod would come. However, They didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, another demigod would come. It was another young man. He really made them feel great pressure. Originally, they couldn't handle one, and now another one came. It seemed that entering the eternal sacred land this time would not be an easy thing. Perhaps the competition would be very fierce, and there might even be a second demigod, a third demigod, and a fourth demigod. In the blink of an eye, this person arrived above the ruins. This was a guy in black armor. His expression was cold, and his eyes fell on the three old men, full of disdain. Then his eyes fell on Lin Fei. This should be the eternal sacred land. The few of you are quite strong. It just so happens that I need a few followers by my side. If you follow me, I guarantee that you will have a good life. The voice of the person in black armor was magnificent, full of an irresistible feeling, directly crushing over. A layer of brilliance instantly appeared in front of the three old men. In an instant, they trembled, and the three of them subconsciously took a step back. On the contrary, the power on Lin Fei's side seemed to not exist, and just passed through Lin Fei's body. Lin Fei didn't move at all, but in his heart he also knew that this demigod-level young man was quite strong. Oh, you have some strength. Are you unhappy? It's your blessing that I like you. And you still have the nerve to put on airs here. The young man in black armor snorted coldly, and an illusory building directly appeared behind him. In the building there was an illusory face, faintly showing great terror and danger. The three old men's expressions changed again. Originally, they had already felt the strength of the other party just now. At this time, after seeing the illusory building behind the other party, they felt even more terrifying. Young master, you misunderstood. We really don't have the honor to follow by your side. They were all demigod powerhouses, so they naturally had to be a little thick-skinned. If they were to follow the other party just like that, wouldn't they become a laughingstock? Previously, he had already embarrassed them. Now there was another one. Although they were polite now, they were still very fearful in their hearts. Interesting. The strength of the three of you is indeed mediocre, and you're about to die of old age. But you're not bad. The black-armored youngster looked at Lin Fei. Although this young man didn't seem to be in the demigod realm, he was exuding a dangerous aura. For him to be able to stand here, he was naturally a demigod expert. Is there something wrong with your brain? Do you think someone as young as me would follow you? I'm quite curious. Are you sure you came from the second floor? It wasn't easy for him to meet someone who had come down from the second floor. Of course, Lin Fei was very interested. If he could understand it clearly, he might be able to understand it in advance when he went to the second floor in the future. He couldn't possibly go there in a daze. Lin Fei's words made the black-armored young man unhappy. He was someone from the upper realm, yet these people from the lower realm dared to question him. What an ignorant frog! The black-armored young man snorted coldly on the spot. This snort was like a huge bell, rumbling loudly, and ripples appeared in the surrounding void. Shut up. People from the lower realm, like you don't have the right to say such things. Now I'll give you another chance. Be my follower or not. Lin Fei smiled faintly. Why should I be your follower? With your strength, you don't have the right at all. But if you're my follower, I'll still be able to accept it. You're courting death. The black-armored youngster threw a punch over. This punch was like a meteor. Lin Fei smiled faintly and met it with a punch. You're not the only one who knows how to make a move. I know how to do it too. There was a rumbling sound. The movements of the two collided in an instant, and they were actually evenly matched. It seems like your strength isn't that great. It's just barely passable. You still have the nerve to put on airs here. Lin Fei casually attacked just now, so his strength wasn't considered strong. However, he knew that the other party had already displayed 70% to 80% of his strength. Although they were both demigods, the strength of the person in front of him really made Lin Fei disappointed. It seemed like demigods weren't that strong. Just from this exchange, the black-armored youngster realized the strength of this young man. He didn't expect that this young man could actually withstand his move. Moreover, it was the same move without any tricks. Hey Yen, let me tell you, with your strength, don't even think about suppressing whoever you want, because you don't have that capability. Whoosh! Another passage appeared in the void. Another figure walked out. It was also a young man. He was dressed in white, and his sword aura was overbearing. With one look, one could tell that he was a sword Dao expert. Illusory sword shadows appeared around him, as though they could be activated at any time. The three old men's expressions changed again. Someone from the sky sword sect. The young man in white looked over indifferently. You guys have good eyesight. That's right. I'm from the sky sword sect. The guy called He Yen roared furiously. By Jinqiu, don't be too proud. It's not like I can't defeat you. If you have the guts, let's have a fight and see who wins. If you don't have the guts, then you're just a coward. He Yen was the name of this black-armored youngster. When he saw Bai Jinqiu, he indeed felt pressured and fearful. This was because the disciples of the Sky Sword sect were all top-notch Sword Dao experts. Their swordsmanship was outstanding and extremely terrifying, especially Bai Jinqiu, who was also a great expert among the younger generation. No one expected that he would actually come down to the eternal sacred land. Today isn't the right time. If it was another time, I would at least have a fight with you. Don't you think so? Bai Jinqiu smiled faintly. Even though it was just a slight movement, the sword intent around him surged crazily. It was like a sharp divine sword that was ready to be unleashed. It could kill the enemy at any time. Lin Fei, who was on the other side, could clearly feel the sword intent contained in this guy called Bai Jinqiu. It was unknown how long this sword intent had been accumulated. It was probably getting heavier by the day. If he were to unleash a move, it would be a top-notch ultimate move. This was the first time Lin Fei had seen such a move. Sure enough, the people in the upper echelons were different. Bai Jinqiu, Hey Yen, since you guys are here, how can I miss out? The passage opened again. Chapter 49-43. Who would have thought that after He Yen and Bai Jinqiu would come? These two demigod experts made the three old men tremble in fear. After all, their potential couldn't compare to these people. Who would have thought that after two came, another one would come? It seemed like his strength wasn't inferior at all. It was another demigod-level expert. Lin Fei was glad that his physique had reached the 90th layer. His strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Otherwise, he would have suffered a huge loss in the Eternal Land. The two people who came down were extremely strong. Following that, another figure appeared. This figure was even more burly and tall. After coming out, even Bai Jinqiu and He Yen seemed to have a certain degree of fear. So this was the most powerful person. Killing God Sex Zhao Xian, I didn't expect them to arrange for you to come down. He Yen looked at this person with fear. Lin Fei also knew this person's name. Zhao Xian from the Killing God sect. It seemed like this Killing Gods sect wasn't simple. To be able to use such a name as a sect, one could imagine how strong they were. Even the three old men were the same. At this moment, there was a huge change. They more or less knew some news. No matter if it was the Heavenly Sword sect or the Killing God sect, they were both very powerful. They weren't people they could fight against. He subconsciously distanced himself from him. He wanted to hide as far as he could before anything else. Otherwise, if these demigods attacked them, they might really become cannon fodder. After all, they more or less understood the temper of the people above them. They would never take the people below them seriously, even if they were demigod experts. This time, they really came at the wrong time. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have come. But now, they didn't dare to leave in front of these demigods. That's right, it's me, Zhao Xian. Such an interesting thing. Of course I have to come down and take a look. Don't the two of you welcome me? Of course, the two of them weren't welcome. After all, This Zhao Xian's strength was a level higher than theirs. They really didn't have the confidence to fight him, especially in the Eternal Sacred Land. Looks like you guys are a little timid. The Eternal Sacred Land has to rely on strength to be king. If you guys aren't strong enough, you'll naturally have to stand aside. Don't say that I bully you guys. Zhao Xian laughed. This time he was filled with pride and arrogance. It's not that easy to break into the Eternal Sacred Land. It's good that you don't die inside. We can't wait for you to die inside. In this way, there will be one less expert in the younger generation. Bai Jianqiu said coldly and casually found a place to sit down. That's right. Often, the most powerful people die the earliest. I'm also looking forward to this day. He Yan also found a place to settle down. Zhao Xuanshuang's eyes flickered, but he didn't say anything. He also found a place to sit down. Lin Fei could feel Zhao Xian's killing intent towards the two of them. He was afraid that if they met again in the Eternal Sacred Land, they would have a big fight no matter what. Others might not be able to see it, but Lin Fei saw it clearly. That's good too. They're dogs fighting each other. I'll go look for it myself. Then, everyone remained silent. The three old men also stood in the distance. However, they didn't dare to leave because such an opportunity was too rare. As for the remaining Bai Jianqiu, He Yan, and Zhao Xian, they were all the same. They all closed their eyes to rest, but they were all paying attention to every movement here. Lin Fei was the same. He also closed his eyes to rest. Although the three demigod experts were more powerful than the three old men, Lin Fei was not afraid at all. He really wanted to have a good fight with these three. Among them, Zhao Xian's strength should be the strongest. Moreover, he had a super terrifying treasure with him. That terrifying aura was really a very powerful treasure. One could imagine how terrifying this break door was. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. No one else came down. Lin Fei originally thought that more people would come down. After all, the Eternal Sacred Land looked extraordinary. He didn't expect only 3 people to come down. Later, he understood in his heart that even if the people above wanted to come down, they would have to pay a big price. It was not easy to let the 3 demigods come down. Hoping for more people to come down would require more capital. If it was not a sect with strong financial resources, it would be impossible to do this. It couldn't be better that no one came down. Although there were 3 more demigods. No, it should be 6 more demigods. Lin Fei was confident that he could get what belonged to him from the Eternal Sacred Land. A golden light suddenly lit up, and then the range became bigger and bigger. A looming palace appeared in the ruins in front of them. As soon as this palace appeared, the people who were resting with their eyes closed stood up one by one. The eternal reincarnation has finally appeared. Zhao Xian's tone was also a lot more excited. He stared at the palace in front of him. Even Lin Fei didn't feel the appearance of such a palace. This was because he had already sensed that there was no existence in this area at all. He never expected that a palace would appear at this time. It seemed to be called the Eternal Reincarnation. Could it be referring to this place? The more it was like this, the more Lin Fei felt that there was something unusual about it. This palace maintained such an illusory appearance. No one rushed over immediately. It seemed that they knew that there must be danger around. Until a few days later, this palace became more and more solid. Everyone's expression changed a lot. It was conceivable that they would be able to enter soon. Lin Fei was not anxious. If they didn't go in, then he wouldn't be anxious to go in either. He was not interested in being a pathfinder for others. When the palace was completely solidified, a figure was the first to go over with a whoosh. The first one was Bai Jianqiu from the Sky Sword sect. A ray of sword light instantly shot out. He Yan also turned into a cloud of black fog and directly rushed over. On the contrary, Zhao Xian, who was at the back, was not anxious. In the blink of an eye, he was already at the entrance of the palace before they could take the first step. Sorry, I have already cultivated a unique movement technique. You guys should just drink the wind behind me." The door was smashed open and he rushed in. No one expected that Zhao Xian would actually be the first to enter this palace. After him was Bai Jinqiu and then He Yan. The last one was Lin Fei. Chapter 49-44. Lin Fei realized that he was wrong. It turned out to be the eternal Samsara Palace. Lin Fei was standing at the entrance of the palace. He could clearly feel that the palace was different. In particular, these 5 words were like the words of a peerless expert. They were invincible, domineering, and insufferably arrogant. Lin Fei also realized why Zhao Xian and Bai Jinqiu did not dare to barge in. He was afraid that the palace had not fully appeared. Once they came in, they would be killed by these 5 words. The possibility of that happening was quite high. Lin Fei had cultivated the great karma skill, so he could naturally sense it. If one were to force his way through, the 5 words would transform into 5 divine abilities and kill him directly. Even a demigod would be powerless in front of the 5 words and would be killed immediately. He stepped into the eternal Samsara Palace. Lin Fei's field of vision changed completely. He had never imagined that there would be a huge spatial array set up here. In front of this space formation, even Lin Fei could not resist at all. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in a small house. The house was very simple and looked more like a small guest room. However, such a study room made Lin Fei feel a terrifying aura. Is this the first stage? Lin Fei knew that the eternal Samsara Palace was not simple, but he did not expect it to be interested in the first test the moment it entered. He tried to open the door, but the door seemed to be fixed with a layer of terrifying power. Even if Lin Fei went all out, he could not move it for a while. He finally understood why he was sent here. This eternal Samsara Palace was really interesting. He did not know which big shot had set it up. Lin Fei gave up on the idea of leaving, although he still had the great teleportation skill. Since he was here, the big shot probably had other means. Disregarding everything else, the spatial array just now had left Lin Fei in disbelief. It was absolutely powerful. One could only imagine what kind of spatial array it was. Therefore, the big shot should be a top-notch existence. Whoosh, whoosh. All kinds of views appeared. Following that, he saw an illusory figure. This figure was extremely illusory, and he couldn't see it clearly. However, Lin Fei could sense that this was a supreme expert. This was a thought left behind by the other party. Even though it was just a thought, it had the power of a demigod. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying demigod. Even if Lin Fei wanted to destroy this demigod-level thought, he would have to go all out. Otherwise, it would not be easy. Welcome to the eternal Samsara Palace. Those who can come here are all God's favored ones. This is your first test. I've left a divine sense in this house. If you can comprehend it, you can naturally open this house and leave. Otherwise, you can only leave. The eternal Samsara Palace doesn't need weaklings. The faint voice was filled with boundless majesty. Then the shadow disappeared. The study was still the same ordinary study. However, the words just now made Lin Fei realize that this was the first stage. After all, it was called the Eternal Samsara Palace. It wasn't that easy to gain some benefits from this place. Otherwise, they wouldn't have set up such a spatial array. It had indeed caught him off guard. There's a divine power left here. Seems like I have to look for it. Lin Fei squinted his eyes and began to calm down. He wanted to feel what the divine power was like. At the same time, he used the great karma skill. The great karma skill might not be effective elsewhere, but it produced a wonderful reaction here. Because Lin Fei had karma with the eternal Samsara Palace, there would more or less be some clues. This was the mystery of the great karma skill. Lin Fei stepped on the ground. With a loud bang, power surged out. Then, everything in the study was crushed by Lin Fei's skill. It was crushed continuously, even in the depths of the void. Then, a ray of golden light appeared. It was a ray of light. It was as if a dazzling will had come over. Lin Fei knew that this should be the first divine power left behind by this expert. It was indeed terrifying. After the finger was pointed, the void seemed to be frozen. Then, the finger of the divine power touched Lin Fei's body. The finger of the mystic art landed on Lin Fei's body. Countless defenses were activated at this moment. Then they started to shatter and shatter. Countless defenses appeared at this moment. Then they kept shattering and shattering. As expected of a divine ability left behind by a powerhouse, the power this time should be able to kill a demigod powerhouse. It won't be easy to resist it. It seems like this powerhouse has a different mindset. He said that he could let you go, but in the end, this divine ability can directly kill you. It's not some kind of enlightenment at all. As a result, Lin Fei had to be careful around this big shot. This guy's words were quite unreliable. It was obvious that he was bluffing. After all, he was a super expert. And he was bluffing. If he had been caught off guard, he would have killed him. With a click, the door opened. Even though the divine power of the finger was invincible, it did not cause any damage to the study. This gave Lin Fei a certain understanding of the material of the room. He opened the door casually. Once he opened it, Lin Fei could feel the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Then he walked out step by step, and the world changed. Lin Fei appeared on a small path. This path was not very big, but he could see the large and small palaces around him. What surprised Lin Fei the most was that this place was like a mountain. The higher one went, the higher the building. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. It seems that I can only get better things as I go up. Lin Fei's current position was relatively lower. Lin Fei did not care much. As long as there was a certain level of godhood in this place, it would be fine. Therefore, he directly used the great karma spell and began to sense it. With this sense, Lin Fei felt that this place was filled with layers of barriers. These barriers were very mysterious. Lin Fei's great karma spell was directly blocked. He could not sense the existence of the godhood at all. Even the physical body was the same. Good Lord, it was afraid that someone would cheat here. It seemed that he could only rely on himself step by step. Chapter 49-45. This place piqued Lin Fei's interest. This was because he should be able to feel many seals in these places. These seals were very strong and filled with terrifying power. From time to time, he could feel some of the seals exploding. Without a doubt, the few of them had started to make their way over. After all, this was a small test. To Lin Fei, it wasn't very difficult, and anyone could pass it. As long as one was in the demigod realm, one wouldn't be at such a disadvantage if they were a little more careful. Lin Fei was prepared to search for more people nearby. He could also feel that the other people's positions were similar to his. They weren't too high up, which meant that it wouldn't be easy to go up. This place was no different from going up to the sky. One could say that every step he took would cause a lot of commotion. Lin Fei was the first to arrive at an herb garden. That's right. Lin Fei's luck was pretty good. There was a huge herb garden nearby. There were also seals in the herb garden. Lin Fei observed for a while. Since no one was coming over, he naturally gave it his all. With a loud rumble, the restriction also erupted with power. Such a powerful seal forced Lin Fei to give it his all. Naturally, the seals couldn't withstand his full strength. There was a gap. Then he entered the herb garden. This herb garden was filled with heaven and earth treasures. They were quite old. For example, the flower on the left was actually tens of thousands of years old. As soon as Lin Fei got closer, the flower actually released its supernatural powers, although they were all instinctive. Good fella, but it had reached the 9 stars war god realm. This was the innate talent of flowers and plants. However, Lin Fei raised his hand and withstood the attacks. He then plucked the flower. Lin Fei wouldn't miss such a heaven and earth treasure. Hence, he collected them first. He might even be able to trade them in the future. Lin Fei was very clear about this. The herb garden wasn't very big. It seemed like there was more than one herb garden like this in the eternal Samsara Palace. He didn't know if this part of his was good or not, and he couldn't guarantee it. Along the way, even if these treasures had the ability, they still couldn't beat Lin Fei. Along the way, Lin Fei collected about 12 heavenly treasures, all of which were quite aged medicinal herbs. Among them, the oldest one was actually 200,000 years old. Even Lin Fei was a little surprised. This place was indeed a land of opportunity. If such a 200,000-year-old medicinal herb was placed outside, it would be extremely difficult to obtain it. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this 200,000-year one. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the top of the herb garden. Lin Fei also came up with the idea of taking a look. He didn't want to miss any opportunities. As soon as he came up, he smelled a strong fragrance. He saw a blooming, blood-colored flower at the top of the slope in front of him. This flower was completely different from what Lin Fei had seen before. It actually contained rays of divine light. These divine lights turned into runes and circled around the flower. In fact, Lin Fei could vaguely see a shadow in the flower. It was the shadow of a person. In other words, this flower would become a flower demon in a short period of time. If it became a flower demon, its strength wouldn't be weak. These divine lights could tell that it would at least have demigod-level strength. Good heavens! I've finally found a powerful heavenly treasure. This thing was definitely good stuff. He calculated in his heart. This flower was at least 500,000 years old, close to 1,000,000 years old. It was no wonder such an existence could become a demigod-level existence once it transformed. It was indeed powerful. Lin Fei was tempted. No matter what, he had to snatch this flower back. This was a really good thing. There were many people who wanted it outside. If the essence of this flower was refined and absorbed, it would definitely be of great benefit to those invincible gods of war. For Lin Fei, it really didn't have any benefits. His body didn't have much use for refining this flower, but for others, it would be of great use. They would definitely pay a high price for it. Lin Fei directly rushed over to the flower. The divine lights directly flew over in the form of flowing lights. The divine lights were like swords, incomparably sharp. Even with such a method, it could barely reach the demigod level. As expected of an existence that was about to transform, Lin Fei could even sense the fluctuations in the flower's emotions. Clearly, it was also very angry. Stop struggling. I've taken a liking to you. You won't have the chance to play any tricks. Just obediently become a medicinal ingredient in my hands and contribute your usefulness. Lin Fei laughed, raised his hand, and pressed down with his fingers like the sky. The divine lights collided with it, but it couldn't do anything to Lin Fei's palm. Although it was just a gentle press, it contained the purest physical strength. The divine lights bombarded the palm, but it didn't have any effect at all. Then a figure walked out of the flower. It turned out that this flower already had a certain level of intelligence. It even transformed into a figure. At this moment, she felt how terrifying this palm was. Even her divine skills couldn't do anything to this palm. The palm pressed down like the sky. The flower demon could feel the aura of death. "Senior, please spare me." The clear voice was filled with fear and unease. From the very beginning, Lin Fei knew that this flower must have gained sentience. It just didn't say anything. It probably thought that its methods could take it, but in the end, its palm couldn't. After all, Lin Fei's physical body had reached the 90th level. It wasn't that simple. Even if the other party had demigod-level abilities, it had only mastered some of the more ordinary methods. It couldn't unleash its full power. Even if it did, Lin Fei could easily suppress it. "A little demon like you is of no use to me at all." Lin Fei smiled faintly. The palm continued to press down. With a loud rumble, the divine lights kept collapsing. Even the illusory figure was on the verge of collapsing. Senior, please spare me. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to follow you. I know where the best things in the eternal Samsara Palace are. I've heard the experts talking about it. The flower demon was anxious. If she didn't stop the other party, she wouldn't be able to take it. Her body was already cracking. When it really came down, it would be over. Chapter 49-46. Lin Fei was a little tempted by the flower demon's words. After all, the eternal Samsara Palace was really quite different. He found a flower demon that was about to take human form here. Once it took human form, it would have demigod-level abilities. It was really unimaginable. It was needless to say how terrifying this place was. It was probably the same for the other herb gardens. This made Lin Fei even more cautious. It would be great if there was someone who knew. His fingers were like a mountain, and he casually withdrew them. The struggling flower demon heaved a long sigh of relief. Thank you for sparing my life, Senior. Thank you for sparing my life. Perhaps it was because the mountain-like 5 fingers had disappeared. The flower demon could finally take a breather. It was really too oppressive. The other party's attack had seriously injured a demigod-level expert like her. Her body was almost injured too. It wasn't easy for a flower demon to cultivate to where she was today. She had been living in fear every day for so many years. Fortunately, this was the eternal Samsara Palace, and no experts would come in. Although there would be occasional experts, they weren't too interested in the herb gardens. Over time, she had cultivated for close to 1,000,000 years. That was how she got to where she was today. If her body was injured, she wouldn't dare to imagine what would happen. She would definitely be finished. If it was any other time, she might be able to recover slowly. However, it was a little difficult here. The difficulty wasn't just any ordinary level. Now that the other party had shown her mercy, she heaved a sigh of relief. She didn't have to worry about anything anymore. Remember what you said. If I find something good, I'll refine your flower demon. It's a pity that you've cultivated for so long. Do you remember? Lin Fei's words were not loud, but they were full of pressure. Lin Fei didn't take the words of a demigod-level expert seriously. He was only merciful because the other party knew something about the eternal Samsara Palace. Otherwise, he would have killed her. After all, this demigod-level flower demon was not as powerful as she had imagined. Suppressing it was not an easy task. Senior, don't worry. I know this place very well. I don't know what you want. If so, I should know where to find it. Because this place is divided into 4 regions: north, south, south, east, and west. The things in each region are different. These are the things left behind by several experts after a great battle. We demons who have taken human form basically know about it. Lin Fei liked to hear this. He did not expect the eternal Samsara Palace to have such a distinction. I want this godhead. Do you know if the eternal Samsara Palace has it? Previously, Lin Fei had already obtained a piece of divine deity, so he naturally needed to obtain a second piece of divine deity. If there was a third piece, that would be even better. The flower spirit trembled slightly. It was indeed quite unexpected. If you want this thing, then I can barely hear some divine deity. Maybe there should be some in the Supreme Pavilion. He has to take a detour in the Eastern District. The flower demon said cautiously. It was Lin Fei's turn to be delighted. He did not expect the eternal Samsara Palace to really have a divine deity, even though it was definitely not that easy to obtain. Lin Fei still wanted to take a gamble. Lead the way. I hope you don't play any tricks. I can easily kill you. Lin Fei believed that this flower demon fellow would not lie, let alone play any tricks. This was because her real body could not leave at all. The flower demon was already at a crucial moment. Lin Fei even helped to set up a formation. The formation hid her real body all of a sudden. Of course, it also captured her. As long as the flower demon had any ideas, she could control the formation and kill the flower demon from a distance. Without a certain level of strength, she could really kill anyone. This was where the flower demon was helpless. The flower demon flew over and landed on Lin Fei's shoulder. "Senior, head this way. It's a very dangerous passage. There are all kinds of magical powers and tricks. You have to be careful." With the flower demon leading the way, it was much easier for Lin Fei. At the very least, he would not leave in a daze. Moreover, the Supreme Pavilion seemed to be very powerful. Lin Fei was filled with anticipation. As expected, there was a path up. It was filled with divine powers. Without a certain level of strength, one would not be able to go up. The flower demon initially thought that no matter how strong the senior was, he would not be able to go up so easily. She did not expect him to go up so quickly. Those divine powers could not stop him at all. The Supreme Pavilion was getting closer. Boom! There was a loud rumble. A few auras exploded from a palace not far away. It was quite a commotion. Lin Fei frowned slightly and seemed to understand what was going on. Perhaps someone had already entered the palace. "What's that palace?" Lin Fei asked. "I remember that place is a weapon pavilion. There are some weapons inside. Big and small, there are invincible weapons. I heard that the most powerful should be top-grade invincible weapons. It can't be considered a good place." As expected from the flower demon, after staying here for so long, she didn't even care about invincible weapons. Lin Fei thought that it was a place, but when he heard that it was a weapon pavilion, naturally he wasn't interested. Even if it was an invincible war god weapon, a top-quality one, it wouldn't be able to break his body. Lin Fei's body was just so strong, so he decided to head to the Supreme Pavilion. He walked for a long distance. Lin Fei's movements slowed down. Not long later, after breaking through several more restrictions, a palace appeared in front of them. The word Supreme Pavilion appeared in front of Lin Fei's eyes. Before it even reached him, the aura surged over. "Good fellow, this Supreme Pavilion was definitely written by an important person. Every word was a divine ability, and it was as though a super powerful being was sitting there with his legs crossed. This kind of method was really rare. The flower demon obviously felt a wave of fear. Supreme Pavilion is in front. There are many treasures inside, and they're much more valuable than the weapon pavilion below. It is just that it is hard to enter." The flower demon said in a low voice. She seemed to have thought of something. "Senior, you have to be prepared. There might be a divine pavilion inside, but there might not be one, because a supreme pavilion like this has been visited by others before. As for the situation inside, I have no idea." The flower demon was afraid that if he couldn't get the god divinity, he would vent his anger on him. When that happened, he would be in trouble. Lin Fei smiled. "If there is a god divinity, then it is good. If not, then continue to search. Aren't you familiar with this place?" Chapter 49-47. When he came to the front of the Supreme Pavilion, Lin Fei wasn't in a rush. He had to slowly see what kind of good things there were in the Supreme Pavilion. He couldn't come here for nothing. He hoped that he could get a god's divinity. If he could get a god's divinity, then his physical body would be able to break through to grade 100. He felt that if he broke through grade 100, then he would get a special reward. All along, he had high hopes for his leisurely leveling system. It definitely wouldn't be as simple as he thought. It was just that he hadn't met the requirements. Now that his physical body reached grade 100, it would probably be a small requirement. Or rather, it would be a small activation requirement. How could Lin Fei miss such a chance? No matter what, he had to try. With a loud explosion, Lin Fei punched the door in the distance. Lin Fei's punch landed on the door in the distance. He did not even enter. Lin Fei's power was extremely condensed and firm. It smashed onto the door. A bright light gathered, and an illusion appeared. The illusory figure gently stretched out his hand and flicked it at the energy. After that, the power started to crumble. Then a second and a third time followed. In the blink of an eye, A palm flicked 5 times, and Lin Fei's power was finally deflected. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. As for the flower monster on his shoulder, she was shivering in fear. She had never expected that the door would be so hard to open. Before this, she had only heard about it. She didn't expect that she would face such a situation when she came. It was really different than what she had expected. Another challenger. Your strength is not bad and you can enter the Supreme Pavilion. But before that, you have to take 1 strike from me. The door will only open if you can. If not, then you don't have the right. The illusory figure that came out said indifferently. Then he raised his hand, and a bolt of lightning turned into a lightning dragon that spiraled over. The lightning dragon was really quick, and it was hard to block. Lin Fei was prepared. After all, it shouldn't be so easy to enter the Supreme Pavilion. He didn't move like a mountain. He slowly sent out a palm strike. This palm strike was like a torrent of wind, directly blocking the lightning dragon. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard as they collided continuously. The might of the lightning dragon was also extremely strong. Lin Fei's strength was actually unable to suppress his opponent for a moment. When it was only a few inches away from him, it finally disappeared completely. In the end, he still couldn't resist Lin Fei's power. This made Lin Fei's heart tremble slightly. He knew that it would not be easy to enter the Supreme Pavilion. He did not expect this power to be so strong. It was obvious that the other party had suppressed his power to the demigod realm. However, the demigod realm was still much stronger than him. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this now. Congratulations, you are qualified to enter, he calmly said. Then, the phantom completely disappeared. The door slowly opened. The flower demon, standing on his shoulder, let out a happy cry. Senior, congratulations on successfully entering the Supreme Pavilion. No one knew better than the flower demon that it was not easy to enter the Supreme Pavilion. The senior in front of him was more powerful than he had imagined. No wonder he could not withstand the power of the demigod realm. Could it be that this senior was a lower celestial? That must be the case. Only a lower celestial could easily withstand the power of a demigod. If Lin Fei knew what the flower demon was thinking, he probably didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could he be a lower celestial? Of course, if he went all out, he would probably be close to the level of a lower celestial. If it was someone else, it wouldn't be possible. The difference was too great. The door opened. Lin Fei stepped in directly. The door slowly closed again. Not long after, another 3 figures came over. It was the 3 old things. They were in a sorry state, but when they saw the Supreme Pavilion, they were obviously delighted. Ha ha ha, our luck is not bad. I didn't expect to find the Supreme Pavilion. There should be good things inside. It won't be the same as the Weapon Pavilion, right? We were almost finished. I have a piece of information on the Supreme Pavilion. I heard that there seems to be godhood here. As long as we get it, our strength will naturally increase by leaps and bounds. The 3 of them had the same expression. One must know that they were not interested in anything else when they came here. Other than elixirs and godhood, they were not interested in anything else because they wanted to break through their realm. If they did not break through their realm, it would be useless to increase their strength. It was too difficult to become a lower celestial. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stayed in the demigod realm. When Lin Fei entered the palace, he realized that the palace was indeed a little grand. There were balls of resplendent light everywhere. These resplendent lights had strong power and strong seals. It was really beyond Lin Fei's expectations. Even the flower demon's horizons were widened. Senior, there are balls of treasures in the light. As long as we break through these seals, we will be able to get a ball of treasure. As the flower demon's voice fell, the starlight that filled the sky gathered, and another figure appeared. Congratulations on entering the Supreme Pavilion. If you want the treasures in the Supreme Pavilion, it's very simple. As long as you can break through my attack and withstand 1 move, you can obtain 1 treasure. If you can withstand 2 moves, you can obtain 2 treasures. If you can withstand 3 moves, you can obtain 3 treasures. The appearance of this phantom caused Lin Fei to be a little surprised. He didn't expect that there would be such a thing. Looks like the treasures in your Supreme Pavilion are not that easy to take. There's a shadow outside and another shadow inside. Lin Fei laughed. He already knew that it was not that easy to take something from the Supreme Pavilion. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the Supreme Pavilion. He didn't expect that there would be a demigod ranker here. That's right, the shadow in front of him had reached the demigod level. Furthermore, it was the most powerful one among the demigods. Every single item in the Supreme Pavilion is incomparably precious. Although it cannot be compared to the Supreme Pavilion above, it is still very different from the items outside. Therefore, as long as you have the ability to withstand one of my attacks, you will get 1 treasure. If you can withstand 10 of my attacks, naturally, you will get 5 treasures. You can have all the treasures here as long as you want. The incomparably dignified voice was filled with absolute pride. Lin Fei laughed. You're quite confident with your words. I wonder if there are divine deity inside. I'm not interested in other things, but I'm interested in divine deity. It's good to have ambition. Then, it depends on how many moves you can take from me. There are divine deity, yes, but you have to be able to take it. Chapter 49-48. Lin Fei was really surprised to encounter such a situation here. Of course, it was more of a pleasant surprise. He had heard it clearly. As long as he could withstand this guy's attack, he would naturally be able to get the godhood. He didn't believe that this guy would lie to him. That could only mean that there was definitely a godhood in the Supreme Pavilion. This thing was really of great use to Lin Fei. Whether he could advance further would depend on this godhood. Lin Fei waved his hand gently, and the flower demon flew far away, not daring to come any closer. Even the flower demon had never been to such a place. He only heard some experts talking when they passed by and knew that there were a lot of things in this place. However, he didn't expect that there would be such a powerful expert here. Oh yes, let me ask you something. If I kill you with a punch, will it count? Lin Fei's gaze became extremely serious. Just like that, he looked at the phantom. The shadow laughed out loud. Although I have suppressed my strength to the demigod realm, I am still the strongest existence among the demigods. Although your physical body is quite strong, it will be very difficult for you to kill me. If you can kill me, then you can randomly choose 10 of the treasures here. Even if it's a godhood, I can give you 10 godhoods. Perhaps it realized that Lin Fei was quite interested in this godhood. The shadow became more and more talkative. Lin Fei's eyes lit up. Since you said it, then I will make my move. Take this. Lin Fei had always liked to be proactive and not passive. Since the other party thought that he had the strength, Lin Fei naturally wouldn't be polite. He directly attacked with 1 move. This was the most common mind projection. This move was a little powerful. However, this time, Lin Fei realized that this shadow was much more powerful than he had imagined. Lin Fei executed it, but the other party dodged it in an instant. This made it impossible for Lin Fei to exert his strength. It was as if he had punched a cotton ball, and his strength had been dispersed. The phantom closed up again, and a faint voice floated over. Not bad, not bad. Your technique is quite powerful. This is a technique that specializes in breaking the flesh. I didn't expect you to be able to grasp such a technique. It has really opened my eyes. This move didn't work. After that, Lin Fei knew that if he wanted to kill this guy, he would have to go all out. There was a loud rumbling sound. The power came crashing over. Boundless frost followed closely, and the void was instantly frozen. Even the flower demon in the distance, who was only a phantom, could feel how terrifying this cold light was. Even though he was a demigod, he still felt afraid. If his opponent had used this move right from the start, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. This young senior was really too powerful. The mysterious man faintly raised his hand. As soon as these forces approached him, they were stopped by a force. Now, they were unable to move even an inch forward. At this moment, Lin Fei directly came to his back and punched. The power of this punch was much more domineering. It was also Lin Fei's all-out punch. It was the power of his physical body that was instantly mobilized. This punch instantly became very terrifying, like a punch of death. The mysterious man finally saw the power of this punch. With a flick of his finger, he had blocked the first round of attacks. Then came the second finger. Then he retreated. I didn't expect this to be your true strength. Even if a real demigod met you, you wouldn't be able to do anything. The illusory figure kept retreating. Lin Fei's punch was very domineering. It was a close combat technique. He kept pestering his opponent. He didn't believe that the mysterious man could last for so long. Lin Fei wasn't joking. Suddenly, Lin Fei's punch turned into a palm. As he opened his palm, a divine light flashed and slapped on his opponent's body. At this moment, Lin Fei mobilized all his divine power. After all, Lin Fei still had a lot of divine power in his body. It was just that he had restrained it well before. Even this guy probably wouldn't have noticed it. During this time, he instantly turned his fist into a palm and made a terrifying palm. This palm slapped on the mysterious man's body with a bang. When the mysterious man was halfway through, he couldn't exert any more strength at all. Cracks spread all over his body. Then, with a loud bang, the silhouette collapsed. The power of this palm was very invincible. Even the flower demons were trembling in fear. He finally knew the strength of the senior. He was probably at the demigod level. In front of this palm, even 10 demigods wouldn't be able to withstand it at all. They would be killed directly. How could there be such a terrifying existence? I wonder if I have one now. Lin Fei didn't intend to use the divine power that he had stored so easily. However, he used it now. He wanted to kill his opponent with one palm. Under the situation where the mysterious man didn't have his original body, Lin Fei felt that it shouldn't be too much of a problem to kill him. Now it seemed like it was really the case. This guy wasn't as strong as he had imagined. It was really a piece of cake for him to kill him. A voice floated over from afar. I never thought that such a powerful expert like you would come to the Supreme Pavilion. In that case, you do indeed have the qualifications to obtain the treasures. Now, tell me what kind of treasures you want. I will choose them for you. Lin Fei was actually a little nervous. He was afraid that this guy would trick him. When the time came, it wouldn't make sense for him to be stingy. Fortunately, this guy really fulfilled his promise. I'm not interested in anything else. I'm only interested in divine deity. As long as you can give me divine deity, that would be great. The more the better, I have no problem. At this time, Lin Fei was very direct. In any case, other than him, there was no one else here. As for the flower demon, he wouldn't speak nonsense. After seeing his strength, the weak original body wasn't a match for him at all. It would be easy to kill him. There are only 3 divine deity in this supreme pavilion. As for the remaining 7, you can choose from them. 3 divine deity. Lin Fei almost cursed out loud. This bastard said that he had 10 divine deity. As expected, experts could lie too. Then give me 3 divine deity first. As for the remaining 7, I want a weapon, a top-notch weapon. At the very least, it's a top-notch weapon in the Supreme Pavilion. Then an armor. It's that simple. As for the remaining few, it's the same. Lin Fei didn't think about the power of faith. With something like divine deity, how could he still want the power of faith? The difference was too big. So. 3 balls of light flew over, filled with a faint divine might. Lin Fei's eyes lit up. It was finally divine deity. Chapter 49:49. As soon as the 3 divine sparks appeared, Lin Fei instantly felt the aura of the divine sparks. There was a smile on his face. His all-out attack really worked. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to get these 3 divine sparks. Ha 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 ha! I didn't expect our luck to be so good. As soon as we came in, we caught up with the divine sparks. 3 figures rushed in. These three figures seemed to be in a very sorry state. It was the three old things from before. They were at the door. The three of them joined forces and barely made it in. They didn't expect to see three divine sparks as soon as they came in. Instantly, the three of them, with each of them having a godhead, they would be able to become true lower deities. As for the young Lin Fei, they really didn't think much of him. Now that the divine sparks were in front of them, how could they not fight with their lives on the line? A Jin Guang fortune instantly came and turned into a finger. So this was a method of condensing power. With a finger, it seemed like he wanted to stare at Lin Fei. Such a method was really not simple. Kid, give up these three divine sparks, and the three of us can spare your life. Otherwise, you will die today. The three of them naturally knew how powerful this guy was. However, now that the three of them saw the divine sparks, they naturally planned to fight with their lives on the line. If they didn't, the divine sparks would be far away from them. Although they didn't know how this guy got the divine sparks, it wasn't a problem anymore. Now, as long as they snatched the divine sparks, the nature divine sparks would be theirs. Just thinking about it made them very excited. You three came at the right time. The moment you came, you actually want the divine sparks. Lin Fei blasted out with a punch and directly blasted the Jin Guang away. Then he moved. With a loud rumbling sound, the three figures instantly teleported and were sent flying. At this moment, Lin Fei relied on his powerful physical body to use spirit descend 3 times in a row. This method was not ordinary. He had injured 3 demigod powerhouses with just a single attack. After all, the 3 of them were old and weak. Their physical bodies were not strong at all. Even if they were wearing treasures, it was the same. Rumble. The 3 of them fell to the ground, and cracks appeared on their bodies. Even the expressions of the 3 of them changed drastically in an instant. They had never thought that things would turn out like this. Do you know why I didn't do anything to you? It's because you guys are too weak. Wouldn't it be better for you guys to just go and look for things? Why do you have to come and snatch my things? Lin Fei smiled faintly. He grabbed the 3 godhoods in his hand. In the blink of an eye, he collected it and instantly converted it into a large amount of honor points. He looked at the 3 old men indifferently. The 3 old men were already in a sorry state. Before this, they had already suffered a loss outside. Never did they expect that they would suffer a great loss here. Their physical bodies were injured. They even felt that if they were to experience it again, their physical bodies would completely collapse. At that time, they would really suffer a great deal of damage to their vitality. How could there be such a powerful guy? They really couldn't believe it. Even the flower demon knew that this guy was very strong. However, they didn't expect him to be so strong. The 3 demigods were actually not a match for him in a single move. They were seriously injured, and their physical bodies were about to collapse. Lin Fei didn't care about the 3 demigods anymore. They were seriously injured with just one move. This was even when Lin Fei didn't go all out. Otherwise, their physical bodies wouldn't be able to take it at all. Their physical bodies were really too weak. They were no different from a piece of art. It would be too easy for Lin Fei to kill them. He didn't have any thoughts about it. After all, there were 3 demigod experts. They were more or less useful. All of you, stand still and don't move. Otherwise, I'll destroy your physical bodies later. Just as Lin Fei was thinking about this, his infinite divine body started to improve once again. 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. In a short period of time, it broke through to 100. It broke through to 100 in an instant. The honor value, which was transformed from the power of faith brought by the 3 godheads, made Lin Fei's physical body improve by leaps and bounds. After reaching 100, the strength of Lin Fei's physical body instantly improved by leaps and bounds. He even condensed streams of God power. These God power kept gathering together. Originally, Lin Fei only had about 100 streams of God power. As his physical body reached the 100th layer, Streams of divine power appeared. In the blink of an eye, it broke through 200 streams, 300 streams. Then it broke through to 1,000 streams. Then it broke through to 3,000 streams in one go. Only then did it gradually stop. Such a huge improvement was obviously enough to make the three old demigods feel the smell of death. In front of this smell of death, they didn't dare to move at all. They couldn't understand how this young man's strength seemed to have changed so much in such a short period of time. Just one move was enough to make them feel death. He could kill them with a single finger. Even though it was just a ridiculous thought, they felt that it was real. If he wanted to kill them, he could really do it easily. In total, it only took a short period of time. Even the flower demon could feel the change in this senior. He had really turned into a terrifying existence. If they really wanted to kill him, it would be too easy. Ding! Congratulations, host's physical body has reached 100 levels. Reward, God Might Dharma Idol. Hearing the system's voice, Lin Fei knew that he had guessed correctly. Indeed, he would get a reward after reaching 100 levels. To think that it was a God Might Dharma Idol. God Might Dharma Idol. A Jin Guang appeared in his mind. He had mastered this God Might Dharma Idol. This God Might Dharma Idol is similar to 3 heads and 6 arms. It's just that it's more sturdy and powerful. Lin Fei squinted his eyes and understood the magical effects of this God Might Dharma Idol. In front of this God Might Dharma Idol, within a certain range, it could eliminate the opponent's strength, affect the opponent's speed, and affect all of the opponent's techniques. This was a little scary. Ding! System's second function is completely unlocked. Unlike before, the system actually had a second function. There was a huge difference between this and the last time. At least, it was really unexpected for Lin Fei. Indeed, the infinite God body reaching 100 levels was a point. Lin Fei couldn't help but want to laugh out loud at this moment. He didn't expect that he would really encounter such a thing. This leveling up system wasn't as simple as he thought it would be. Now it seemed like it was really awesome. Chapter 4950. Lin Fei was looking forward to the activation of the second function. Since a long time ago, Lin Fei had known that this system was definitely not as simple as he had imagined. Now, everything was as he had imagined. Especially after his body reached the 100th layer, there had been a tremendous change. Of course, this was only the breakthrough to the 100th layer. Now, Lin Fei's body had reached the 109th layer in one go. The 109th layer of his body could condense divine power from time to time. Although the speed was not very fast, it was still visible to the naked eye. Compared to before, there was a huge difference. Previously, Lin Fei had a great sense of anticipation for this upgrade system. It was just that he had not reactivated it. Now it seemed that he was really excited. The activation of the second function of the system is a time-limited mission. This time-limited mission was quite surprising. He did not expect the second function to be related to the mission. Although he was a little surprised, it was still within Lin Fei's expectations. Before he could say anything, it seemed that the system had already known what Lin Fei was thinking. A list that looked like a sky curtain appeared in his mind. This list was filled with time-limited missions. These missions ranged from 1 star to 9 stars. The time limit also increased from a few days to a few months, then to a few years, and then to decades. If that was all there was to it, it would not have attracted Lin Fei's attention. However, the rewards at the end of the quest surprised Lin Fei a little. The rewards were much more generous than he had imagined. Time-limited mission. Break through the 200th layer of the infinite divine body within 100 years. Reward. 3 medium God fragments. Time-limited mission. Nurture a disciple to become a lower God within 50 years. Reward. 1 medium God fragment. Time-limited mission. Nurture 10 disciples to become a lower God within 300 years. Reward. Infinite chaotic divine body. These missions indeed had very generous rewards. In particular, the infinite chaotic divine body made Lin Fei's eyes light up. He felt that this divine body should be above the infinite divine body. Sure enough, this was the true face of the system. The previous system could only be said to be the simplest and most basic. Right now, Lin Fei was really in the mood to look through these time-limited quests. Lin Fei stopped thinking about it at the thought that he was in the eternal Samsara Palace. He had to keep going inside. He wanted to see if he could get more divine deity. If he had enough divine deity, he would probably be able to complete some of the missions. Therefore, Lin Fei did not want to miss any opportunity. Anyway, the second function of the system had been activated. For Lin Fei, as long as he chose properly, he would naturally get a generous reward. Ding! A time-limited mission notification. The Eternal Samsara Palace has a mission. Can I accept it? Before Lin Fei could walk out of the Supreme Pavilion, he heard another sound. It was the system's notification. Then a mission appeared in his mind. Limited time mission. Kill everyone in the Eternal Samsara Palace. Mission completion reward. A divinity elixir, a meteoric rise. Lin Fei couldn't help but laugh. The reward was really generous. He was especially emotional when he saw the use of the divinity elixir. All the demigod experts wanted to break through and become god-level experts. In the end, they spent a long time and still couldn't achieve it. Now a divinity elixir could make them meteoric rise. That's right. One could become a lower celestial in one step after consuming the divinity elixir. Of course, this realm was permanent. One would never be able to level up. Even so, the demigod-level powerhouses still cared a lot about it. Of course, it wasn't attractive to Lin Fei. However, it was attractive to ordinary people. Even demigod experts would come after hearing about it. This kind of reward was quite good. Of course, if he wanted to kill the people in the Eternal Samsara Palace, he would have to make an enemy of the second level. It would be quite stressful. Fortunately, the mission didn't require him to accept it. However, since such a mission had come, Lin Fei was definitely interested. After thinking about it, Lin Fei accepted the mission. Ding! Mission successfully accepted. Time limit. Eternal Samsara Palace. Time limit. Mission failed. 20 levels of infinite divine bodies will be cut off. This made Lin Fei frown slightly. He really didn't realize that this time limit mission had a punishment mechanism. This system was really a scam. That works too. I should have said so earlier. Now I can't complete the mission and have to cut off 20 levels. It wasn't easy for me to reach the 109th level. After experiencing the strength of the 109th level, it was definitely a huge blow for him to return to the 89th level. His face darkened slightly. No matter what, he had to deal with the people in the Eternal Samsara Palace now. At the moment, there were only 3 people he had to deal with. One was Bai Jianqiu and the other was He Yan. These two were really strong, but they were not as strong as Zhao Xian. He was the strongest. It wasn't too much pressure to deal with the first 2. As for Zhao Xian, he had some trump cards. Those who could come from the second level were more or less capable. Now that Lin Fei's physical body had reached the 109th level, and he had the godly power dharma, he was very strong. It was indeed very easy to deal with them. This mission wasn't difficult at all, and it was very easy. Right now, he had to deal with the 3 demigods in front of him first. Lin Fei's gaze fell directly on the 3 demigods. The 3 demigods were already injured, but as Lin Fei's aura became stronger, the dangerous aura became stronger. This made them even more afraid to make any movements. They were afraid that they would be killed if they were not careful. This gaze made the 3 of them panic, and their bodies involuntarily trembled. "Spare me, my friend. As long as you don't kill me, I'll listen to everything you say. I'm willing to submit to you." "Me too. I only ask that you don't kill me and leave me a way out." The look in Lin Fei's eyes became extremely terrifying. One look was enough to make them realize that struggling was useless and that they would definitely die. The three of you are quite tactful. I thought you would struggle a little. Now I'll give you two choices. Either you submit, or I'll kill you now. Of course, you still have a chance to attack, Lin Fei said faintly. The three demigods shook their heads. They didn't have the guts to fight again. Even if they had the idea, the pressure from Lin Fei was too strong. If they really fought, they wouldn't be able to withstand it. We're willing to submit. Chapter 49:51. The three demigod experts didn't have any other thoughts and chose to submit right away. If they didn't submit, they would die. If they resisted stubbornly, they would die too. It was much easier to submit. What they regretted the most was coming to the Supreme Pavilion and snatching the Godhead. They could more or less guess that this guy must have used some tricks. Otherwise, they wouldn't have felt so terrified. Lin Fei didn't stand on ceremony and used his tricks on them one by one. The flower demon was the clearest. This young man, no, it should be the young senior. He should be a powerful guy. In the blink of an eye, he changed so much. Even the three demigod powerhouses were easily taken down and became his subordinates. The flower demon was shocked like never before. Senior, can I follow you? The flower demon also became spirited at this moment and asked with a trembling voice. Such an expert was most likely a lower celestial or even an intermediate celestial. The flower demon felt that he had to take advantage of this opportunity to get on the list. If he didn't get on the list now, he might not get the chance later. Lin Fei smiled faintly. The flower demon was quite smart. You're quite brave, but you're a demon, a demigod. You're barely qualified. As the saying went, men and women working together were not tiring. It was quite interesting to have such a flower demon. After all, the flower demon knew quite a lot. Lin Fei returned and kept the flower demon's original body. At the same time, he knew the flower demon's name, Hua Xiaolin. This name was given by Hua Xiaolin himself. He thought it was quite simple and ordinary. Master, I know where the Supreme Pavilion is. There are a few more Supreme Pavilions along this road. I can lead the way. Lin Fei smiled faintly. I don't need to go to the Supreme Pavilion for now. I still have something to do, and that is to get rid of those three guys. There are too many people in the eternal Samsara Palace. It's quite troublesome. I don't like it. The hearts of the three demigod experts behind him jumped. They knew that this young man wasn't as easy to talk to as they thought. He didn't expect that he would have to deal with the three experts who came down from above. They were even more glad that they chose to surrender. Otherwise, wouldn't the three of them have to be dealt with as well? The three of them together were no match for him, let alone one-on-one. Master, I think the three of them should have gone to Tao Comprehension Hall. Hua Xiaolin said from the side, This is the most special place in the eternal Samsara Palace. It's said that one can comprehend the Tao here. It's a great improvement for the younger generation of geniuses. There was such a place. Lin Fei decided to use the great karma technique to sense where the three of them were. If they were together, it would be simple. It was just the right time to catch them all in one fell swoop, saving them the trouble of running around. After all, the eternal Samsara Palace was much more powerful than Lin Fei had imagined. If they split up, it would be a waste of time. If they took the opportunity to leave, it would be difficult for Lin Fei to deal with them again. After all, this time-limited mission required him to kill all three of them. If one of them was missing, the mission would not be completed. He used the great karma technique. Streaks of golden threads spread throughout the eternal Samsara Palace. Lin Fei could sense where the golden threads were. Every single golden thread converged at the same place. Although it was faintly discernible, Lin Fei understood it clearly. If he was right, the three of them should be in Tao Comprehension Hall. It seemed like Hua Xiaolin was right. There was something special about the eternal Samsara Palace. He didn't expect the three geniuses to go to such a place. That's right, they are in the same place. They should be in Tao Comprehension Hall. Lead the way. Knowing that the three of them were together, Lin Fei heaved a sigh of relief. This made things easier. He believed that there was no one else in the eternal Samsara palace apart from the three of them. At the same time in a palace, Bai Jianqiu, He Yan, and the rest entered the same palace. The three of them stood on a stone platform and walked to a place with light in the distance. The light was warm and peaceful, but they didn't dare to let their guard down. I feel a powerful aura coming towards us. If I'm not mistaken, a powerful person has come in, and he's looking for the three of us. Zhao Xian, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke. Bai Jianqiu and He Yan's expressions changed. No one knew Zhao Xian's capability better than them. He had brought a treasure with him. He could sense danger. Once there was danger, he would naturally know. It wasn't easy for Zhao Xian to deal with him among the younger generation. Other than us, is there someone more powerful? Those three old things are no match for him. Or is it that young man? He Yan had fought with the young man before, but he didn't think the young man had such capability. Bai Jianqiu added, that's right. Those three old men couldn't withstand a single blow. That young man has some strength, but he doesn't have such capability. Could it be that someone else has come? The three of them naturally came here to gain enlightenment. This enlightenment would give them a higher chance to break through to the lower god realm. There were still quite a number of demigod realm geniuses like them. It wasn't easy to become a lower god. They had to find their own opportunities, and Tao Enlightenment Hall was one of them. I don't know who it is, but I know he came here. Zhao Xian said coldly. This wasn't good news. If Zhao Xian could say so, then the person who came was definitely very powerful. Since he came, let's show him some tricks. At least we came from the same place. We can't let others act presumptuously here. This Tao Enlightenment Hall doesn't need a fourth person. He Yan said coldly. Even Bai Jianqiu didn't want a fourth person to come here. Even though they were competitors, someone who could make Zhao Xian feel pressured was naturally an extremely powerful person. If they didn't work together, it would be very difficult to deal with such a person. Indeed, there's no need for a fourth person. Lin Fei's journey here was quite fast. Hua Xiaolin had some knowledge of this place. Although there were some mistakes along the way, it was nothing to Lin Fei. Not long after, a palace appeared in front of Lin Fei. The words Tao Enlightenment Hall were filled with a mysterious aura. Chapter 4952. Lin Fei could clearly feel that they were inside. They did not seem to make any movements. Without guessing, he knew that they should be waiting for him to come. After all, they came down from above and were not simple people. Since they noticed that he had chased them all the way here, they would definitely have some tricks up their sleeves. So. The three figures behind him rushed in first. They all wanted to perform well and leave a good impression. They wanted to live better in the future. At this time, the three of them had to deal with the three of them. Although they did not have much chance of winning, they could still fight 3 against 1. They were quite smart. If they could restrain He Hao, they would restrain him. As soon as the three of them rushed into the Enlightenment Hall, a large formation appeared, trapping the three of them inside. Sword light and sword shadows appeared, rumbling, erupting with holy might, attacking their bodies. For a moment, the 3 old men were busy dealing with it. Zhao Xian and the rest looked coldly at the 3 old men inside the formation. They were a little surprised. They did not expect it to be these 3 fellows. He Yan snorted coldly. I did not expect the 3 of you to come in first. Then prepare to suffer a bit. I will kill you later. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure walked in. It was Lin Fei. I knew you were prepared, as expected of people from above. As soon as Lin Fei came in, Zhao Xian and the rest looked at Lin Fei. They all felt a dangerous aura. This dangerous aura was very strong, as if they were facing a great enemy. This feeling was something they had never felt before. This young man was really terrifying. I did not expect it to be you. You really hide your strength. It is quite unexpected that there is an expert like you in this level. But do you think you can deal with the three of us alone? Zhao Xian looked over coldly. The three of them looked like they were following Lin Fei's lead. I will give you two choices. Submit to me or be killed by me. I think you are all smart people and should be able to make the right choice. Lin Fei also looked at the three of them. The three of them were indeed very strong. If they could submit to him, it would be considered as completing a mission. Whoosh! Bai Jianqiu was the one who made the move. The sword light was like a long river that directly pierced through. You want me to submit to you? Who do you think you are? You don't have the qualifications to do so. Take a strike from me first. Lin Fei raised his hand and caught the sword. When the sword landed on Lin Fei's hand, the sharpness could no longer continue. This is it. You're still too weak. Lin Fei's power moved, and in an instant, a full fist light bombarded over. A grand array appeared in front of Bai Jianqiu, which withstood the punch. However, the grand array shattered with a cracking sound and blasted onto Bai Jianqiu's body. He was sent flying and smashed into the pillar. Looks like you're not prepared to surrender. Then I'll just take action directly and destroy you all. It's just nice and easy. Lin Fei laughed and took a step forward. With a loud bang, the void collapsed in an instant. Whether it was Zhao Xian, He Yan, or even Bai Jianqiu, they were all within the attack range of the void collapse. Such a method was already very powerful. The three of them instantly unleashed the strength of a demigod. Rays of divine light shrouded and resisted the attack of the void power. Even if they used the power of divine power, they did not have a lot of divine power. Each of them only had a few dozen rays. Of course, this was still considered strong. As for Zhao Xian, he had reached 100 rays. However, in the face of the void collapse, it was very difficult for him to resist. Bean-sized beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. How could there be such a strong ability? Lin Fei walked in. The 5 fingers were like a mountain, pressing down like a dark cloud. Another loud, rumbling sound was heard. This time, Lin Fei directly used the strength of a demigod. Blessing was in it. This palm came down. Bang, 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 bang. The three of them instantly vomited blood. They could not withstand it at all. Cracks began to spread on their bodies. In an instant, their entire bodies were covered in blood. They could no longer stand and were on the verge of collapsing. I said that I gave you a chance to choose. Unfortunately, you did not know how to cherish it. Even if you came down from above, I can still kill you all. Lin Fei smiled faintly. It was another ordinary palm strike that was reinforced with divine power. However, for Zhao Xian and the other two, they instantly felt the aura of death. If they could not withstand this palm, they would definitely die. They finally realized how terrifying this young man was. On this level, he was definitely a terrifying great demon king. How could there be such a powerful existence? This was something they did not know. The faces of the three of them became exceptionally pale. One by one, they sent out their trump cards. Following that, rays of divine light shrouded them from heaven and earth. Kid, don't be too proud. Your strength is not worth mentioning in front of our sect. Sooner or later, we will kill you. The next time we come, it will be the time of your death. At this time, they had already chosen to retreat. If they did not retreat, they would be beaten to death. The corner of Lin Fei's mouth rose. I said that I will kill you, so I will definitely kill you, even if you want to escape in front of me. You do not have the strength to do so. Lin Fei laughed. With a wave of his hand, it directly hit the divine light. These divine lights had a certain defensive function, but in front of Lin Fei, they were as weak as ants. With a loud rumble, the 3 divine lights were instantly broken. At the same time, this power also hit them. Bang, 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 bang. With 3 loud bangs, the 3 people who were considered geniuses on the second level were wiped out. This was because they were too weak. Lin Fei did not use his full strength. After all, he had cultivated 3,000 rays of divine power. Compared to them, who only had a few dozen or 100 rays, he was many times stronger. How dare you kill people of our sky rapier sect? The sword light attacked from heaven and earth, locking onto Lin Fei, and it was filled with angry roars. How dare you kill people of my Zhao family? You deserve to die. Another voice rang out, followed by a palm print. A figure stood in the palm print and roared in anger, saying that he was invincible. Good heavens, these people's strength had reached the peak of the demigod level. Lin Fei could clearly feel it. The highest strength on this level was the peak of the demigod level. Even if you reached the level of a lower god, you would not be on this level. I am in charge of this place. You are not qualified at all. One punch. All the divine light palm prints disappeared instantly. Chapter 4953. The 3 demigod powerhouses saw what was happening outside. They did not expect Zhao Xian and the other 2 to be killed so quickly. Even if the people from the other world attacked from a distance, they still couldn't stop them. They were glad that they chose to side with them. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. Between losing their freedom and their lives, they would rather lose their freedom. At the very least, they could survive. Moreover, the power from the previous world could not do anything to the other party, which made them realize what it felt like to have a strong backer. Ding! Congratulations on completing the time-limited mission. You are rewarded with a divine elixir. As soon as Lin Fei killed Zhao Xian and the other 2, he immediately received the quest reward. He got a divine elixir just like that. Any demigod expert could break through to the lower deity level in an instant after eating it. Even the invincible god of War Realm could do it. Lin Fei originally thought that Zhao Xian and the others would be quite strong, but he didn't expect it to be so much easier than he imagined. They couldn't even resist the full power of his physical body. Even if it was an attack from above, it was the same. It really made Lin Fei feel quite regretful. Now was the time to explore the eternal Samsara Palace. Lin Fei threw a punch at the nearby array formation, freeing the 3 of them from it. The power of this formation was quite strong. The 3 demigod powerhouses were also battered and embarrassed. They lowered their heads obediently, feeling very awkward. You don't have to follow me. Just stay outside. Hua Xiaolin, come with me. Hua Xiaolin witnessed the situation from the beginning to the end. He was glad that he followed the right person. He did not expect him to be so strong, much stronger than he imagined. Those experts up, there were only so much they could do from afar. With Hua Xiaolin leading the way, Lin Fei came to the second Supreme Pavilion. According to Hua Xiaolin, there were several supreme pavilions like this in the eternal Samsara Palace. What Lin Fei needed to do now was to go to these supreme pavilions and see just how many divine deity rewards these supreme pavilions had. Lin Fei wanted to know how much these godhoods could help him. If he didn't figure it out, Lin Fei didn't know what to do next. Although he could complete the quest for a limited time, Lin Fei still had to try to see if the divine deity was useful. The second Supreme Pavilion was much stronger than the previous one. Fortunately, Lin Fei's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. 3,000 strands of god power was not a joke. Even so, he felt a certain amount of pressure in the Supreme Pavilion. This also made him realize that the eternal Samsara Palace was much more interesting than he had imagined. It was indeed created by a big shot. It took Lin Fei almost half a day to get to the Supreme Pavilion, and he got 5 godhoods as he wished. That's right, 5 godhoods. Lin Fei refined all of them in one go, but there was no sign of his fleshly body improving by leaps and bounds. Initially, he broke through the 100th level to the 109th level, but so many godhoods only allowed him to break through 1 level. This kind of breakthrough was quite disappointing to Lin Fei. He had been happy for nothing. It seems like I have to complete the time-limited mission if I want to improve this infinite divine body. He laughed bitterly in his heart. This was not such good news. In fact, Lin Fei knew this would happen from the beginning. Since the time-limited mission had been activated, the godhoods would be of little use. Of course, this should be an ordinary godhood. If it was a high-level godhood, it should still be useful. Lin Fei made a decision very soon and came out of the Supreme Pavilion. He then went to the corresponding Supreme Pavilions. Every single one of them was extremely powerful, and Lin Fei felt pressured by every single one of them. His movement speed was much slower, but he managed to get through all of them and obtain the reward. Lin Fei didn't refine these godhoods anymore. The 109th level of his fleshly body was more or less enough. Other than the Supreme Pavilion, what's the most important place in the eternal Samsara Palace? Lin Fei asked Hua Xiaolin. The Supreme Pavilion was no longer interested in these. There was difficulty, but the reward was ordinary. Lin Fei rushed to the most important place. The most important place should be the Samsara land. It's very mysterious, and ordinary people don't dare to enter it easily. Hua Xiaolin knew a lot. Lin Fei frowned slightly. When it came to the word samsara, he naturally felt that it was extraordinary. Although he was very strong and could be said to have reached the peak of demigod. Even so, facing the most important place, Lin Fei still had some fear in his heart. With his strength, he reckoned that he could only take a look. After thinking about it, Lin Fei didn't hesitate and decided to take a look at the place. The higher he went, the greater the pressure. It took Lin Fei 2 days to reach the top of the Samsara Palace. There was a hint of tiredness between his brows. It was much more difficult than he imagined. Fortunately, he had finally come up, and he could finally see the specific situation. The word Samsara Palace appeared in Lin Fei's vision. He knew that this was the place. Although he hadn't entered, Lin Fei felt that the Samsara Palace had an inexplicable attraction, as if his whole body would be attracted. This feeling was very strong. Lin Fei finally knew why Hua Xiaolin was so afraid of this place. This place wasn't a place that anyone could enter. Standing there and looking down, it was like standing in the clouds. It was lonely at the top. Master, if you aren't fully prepared, I don't think you should enter the Samsara Palace. I remember that none of the experts who entered the Samsara Palace came out alive. Hua Xiaolin was still very worried and couldn't help but say, "Of course." Lin Fei knew that the Samsara Palace was much more terrifying than he imagined. Since it was called the Eternal Samsara Palace, the most important place was here. Originally, he was going to go in and take a look, but after standing at the door, Lin Fei didn't want to. He could take a look, but not here. He could wait until later. Forget it, we don't have to go in. We can go down. It seemed a little regretful, but Lin Fei didn't have much interest in the Samsara Palace. Even if there were peerless treasures in it, it would probably be a big trap. He already had a time-limited task to do, and the reward he got was not worse than the one here. It was quite normal for him to think like this. Lin Fei had tasted the sweetness, so there was no need to take any more risks. He'd better wait for others in this place. If an expert knew Lin Fei's thoughts, he might really cry in the toilet. This was the Samsara skill. Chapter 4954. The Eternal Samsara Palace was pretty good, especially the Supreme Pavilions and some of the palaces. There were some traps and restrictions. However, with a certain level of strength, one could still obtain a lot of things. This was Lin Fei's harvest from this trip, because he had visited all of these places. After all, it would be a little embarrassing if he didn't take all these things away. Lin Fei didn't go to the most mysterious Samsara Palace. He felt that it wouldn't be good for him to go in with his current strength. If something went wrong, he would regret it. He didn't lack those things, so he gave up. Even Hua Xiaolin was a little surprised. He didn't expect the senior to resist entering the Samsara Palace. The Samsara Palace was the most special and mysterious place. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to resist and would probably go in directly. Everything big and small in the palace had been plundered clean. Now, even if a mouse came in, it would probably cry. With Lin Fei's powerful physical body, it was easy for him to do so. He could even endure it. Hence, all the treasures were taken by Lin Fei without exception. It wouldn't be difficult for those who wanted to come to the eternal Samsara Palace later on to get nothing good, unless they went to the Samsara Palace. However, it wasn't easy to go to the Samsara Palace. There were some places that Lin Fei didn't destroy. Lin Fei came out with the 3 demigod experts. When he returned to the outside world, Lin Fei felt different. A huge thought shrouded him. There were some vague auras in his mind. It turned out that apart from the 3 demigod experts, there seemed to be other demigod experts on this level. However, there weren't many. There were only 3 of them. However, their auras seemed to be much stronger. They seemed to have used a secret technique to seal their lifespan and prevent it from flowing. They would only wake up at the critical moment. This was also the reason why it felt blurry. Lin Fei didn't bother about it. He was very satisfied with what he said. He casually found a mountain range and opened up a cave. Lin Fei lived there and did not return to his original place. The 3 demigod powerhouses were also doing odd jobs outside. Only Hua Xiaolin stayed by Lin Fei's side. Initially, Lin Fei had hoped to obtain more items such as godheads during this trip to the eternal Samsara Palace. Right now, godhoods were not very useful to him. On this trip, he had obtained some godhoods. He now had a total of 15 godhoods. The quality of these godhoods was extremely poor, and they couldn't be considered high grade. In other words, if he refined them, he would only be able to become a lesser god. If these words were spoken outside, it was unknown how many people would be dumbfounded. It was not that easy to become a low god. Now there was such an opportunity. 15 divine sparks could create 15 demigods. This time in the eternal Samsara Palace, Lin Fei had killed 3 supreme geniuses from the upper echelons. Needless to say, the upper echelons must be furious. It was possible that they came down, but they would probably let the local powerhouses encircle him. Lin Fei arranged for the 3 demigod powerhouses to go out and find out information. They would find out information on this level first. As for the rest, they would have to find out how to obtain greater rewards on this level. Previously, Lin Fei had a mission. Lin Fei was not interested in that mission anymore. It was not as satisfying as the rewards from the time-limited missions. I wonder what kind of rewards the time-limited missions will give me if I dominate this level. Let me check. Lin Fei was getting more and more ambitious. How could Lin Fei miss such a good opportunity? Moreover, he could tell that this world was definitely much more mysterious than he had imagined. If he were to complete the time-limited quests here, perhaps his strength would increase even more. At the same time, a figure appeared in his mind. It was a faintly discernible figure. I will come to the immortal world sooner or later. At the same time, at the bottom of a huge mountain, there was a huge underground palace. In the depths of the underground palace, there was a forbidden area. A figure slowly stood up in the forbidden area, as if a god or demon had awakened. The will of the upper realm actually came down. The figure stood up with a strange expression on his face, but it was also filled with respect. An illusory figure appeared in front of him. What you have to do next is to find this person. Even if you have to turn the entire floor upside down, you have to find this guy. An incomparably dignified voice carried a monstrous anger. The person who stood up became even more respectful. He could feel how terrifying it was. At the same time, he saw the figure. I will mobilize the entire sect's power to find this person. I want to see the results in the shortest time possible. By the time the shadow went up, the man's back was drenched in cold sweat, which kept dripping down. This was the first time he had seen the people above so angry. I don't care who you are, but this time no one can protect you. There is no one that our abyss hell does not dare to kill. The figure stepped out. So this was the base camp of the abyss hell. At the same time, as the Invincible Alliance's headquarters, the Daluo Heaven also received a decree. The decree's request was very simple. Find this person and bring him back to the Everlasting Alliance. When they saw the figure, they were all shocked. Wasn't this Lin Mu? Their Invincible Alliance had suffered a lot at his hands. Ha 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 ha. The heavens are really helping me. I didn't expect this kid to have committed such a big crime that even the higher-ups have issued a decree. Let's see how he can grow wings this time. He won't be able to escape. Go look for him immediately. You must find this Lin Mu for me. The Assassin Alliance also received the news. It was also a decree from the higher-ups. It was also to find such a person. This caused the entire Assassin Alliance to be completely mobilized. Such a decree had not appeared in a very long time. One could imagine how big of a crime this Lin Mu fellow had committed. Even Fengyin Tower was the same. When the master of Fengyin Tower heard the power from above, even he was stunned. Wasn't this the elder Lin that they had just recruited? How could he have caused such a big ruckus? Old ancestor, are you sure? This Lin Mu was just recruited by our Fengyin Tower. He is a powerful consecrator. How could he have caused such a big ruckus? In the dark room, the master of Fengyin Tower's face was filled with curiosity and disbelief. Because he killed great Yan empires, Zhao Xian, the master of Fengyin Tower knew quite a lot. His expression instantly changed. Chapter 4955. The 3 demigod-level powerhouses that were sent out quickly gathered the news and came back. It only took him a day or 2 to get there. The 3 demigod powerhouses did not seem to have any helpers. In fact, they all had their own ways. When they came back and said this, Lin Fei could not help but laugh. Lord, the 4 top forces have already started to arrange people to search for your whereabouts. If I'm not mistaken, they should have received orders from above. So they are preparing to target you. The 3 demigod powerhouses were actually sneering in their hearts. After all, the strongest person on this floor should be Lord. As for the others, they were not Lord's match at all. Didn't they see that Zhao Xian and the others could not even withstand a single blow? This order from above was very normal, but they did not expect that even the 4 top forces would be mobilized. It was really rare. In fact, Lin Fei was not surprised at all. After all, Zhao Xian was the one with the most influence among those geniuses who had been killed. Lin Fei did not expect Zhao Xian to be so capable as to get the higher-ups to order the 4 peak factions to deal with him. Fengyin Tower was also looking for Lin Fei, which was a little surprising. If not for Fengyin Tower, Lin Fei would not have found out about the existence of the Eternal Land so quickly. His strength would not have improved by leaps and bounds, and even caused the system to activate a second small change. So he still had some mixed feelings about Fengyin Tower. Even if the 4 top forces come, there is nothing to fear. I just don't know how many experts they can send. Lin Fei didn't think much of them. The strongest was only a demigod. In Lin Fei's eyes, their strength was neither strong nor weak. They could not even withstand a single blow from Lin Fei. On the other hand, when the 4 top powers made their move, Lin Fei received a notification. It turned out to be a time-limited mission notification. This function was quite good. Lin Fei was quite satisfied. Ding! Suppress the 4 top forces and dominate this floor. Reward: unlimited divine body. Suppress for 100 years and obtain an unlimited Godhead fragment. Suppress for 1,000 years and obtain an unlimited Godhead. The reward this time was quite surprising to Lin Fei, especially since the unlimited Godhead reward was actually unlimited Godhead. Of course, Lin Fei knew how powerful his infinite God body was. It was all thanks to this limitless body that he was able to reach this step, but he never thought that there would actually be limitless divine deity. suppressing this world for 1,000 years. This period of time was neither long nor short. In other words, Lin Fei had to remain at the pinnacle of the demigod realm. Only then would he not be pushed out by the power of this world and head to the second level. Lin Fei didn't think too much about it and accepted the task. This mission wasn't too difficult, but it would take a long time. Of course, 1,000 years was still acceptable. This was especially so for the limitless godhood. Even though he did not know what use it had, once he obtained it, he would most likely become a true lesser god. Moreover, in 1,000 years' time, the divine power that he had cultivated would probably reach a terrifying number. Mission 1 was accepted. The corner of Lin Fei's mouth curled up slightly. Since they came looking for me, then we have to let them experience what it means to be happy. Let's go to the Invincible Alliance first. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei swept up the 3 demigods and kept them, then headed for the Daluo Heaven. Among these 4 top forces, the one that Lin Fei wanted to deal with the most was the Invincible Alliance, who asked them to always come looking for trouble with him. This time he could suppress them and see what kind of treasures the Invincible Alliance of the Daluo Heaven had collected. Lin Fei's strength had already reached the pinnacle. Along the way he could detect others, but they couldn't detect him at all. He discovered many powerful figures. These figures were all at the Invincible War God realm. Of course, there were also faintly discernible demigod experts. They didn't move. It seemed that they were all looking for him. However, it was not that easy to find Lin Fei's tracks. They were destined to work in vain. Lin Fei brought 3 of his subordinates and headed straight for the Daluo Heaven. The closer they got to the Daluo Heaven, there were many tricks in the void. It seemed that the defense of the Daluo Heaven was still airtight. However, from Lin Fei's point of view, no matter how airtight it was, he could still break it. Lin Fei's great teleportation technique was very useful at this time. Wherever he passed, he avoided all the tricks. Then he entered the Daluo Heaven. This was a heaven's grotto heaven world. Inside, Lin Fei instantly felt that there were demigod experts. There were quite a number of demigod experts. There were actually 5 demigod experts. Among them, the most powerful one was even at the peak of the demigod realm. He probably cultivated a lot of divine power. This was much stronger than Zhao Xian and the others. Zhao Xian and the others only had 100 divine power, but this one was different. He guessed that he had cultivated at least 700 to 800 divine power, close to 1,000 divine power. This kind of strength was already very, very strong. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei released the 3 demigods. Attack fiercely. Destroy this Daluo Heaven for me. After receiving orders from the higher-ups to deal with him, Lin Fei naturally wouldn't be polite. If they had behaved themselves, then they naturally wouldn't have come looking for trouble. However, this time, it just so happened that the previous incident and this incident would be settled together. As soon as the 3 demigods appeared, they immediately unleashed their attacks. Divine might enveloped them directly. Those with low strength exploded one by one. Immediately, figures flew out from the Daluo Heaven, which was also the Everlasting Alliance. They were all war god experts. However, as soon as these war god experts came out, they saw a ray of light sweeping over. One by one, they were blasted away. They couldn't withstand a single move at all. All of them were seriously injured. All of them were scared out of their wits. As soon as an invincible war god expert came out, he instantly cried out in alarm. Not good. Quick, call the Patriarch. There's a demigod expert. With this cry, all the war god experts retreated. None of them dared to stand in front of them. It was fine if it was just 1 demigod expert, but now there were 3 demigod experts. This made them even more panicked. Patriarch, save us! The 3 demigods were obedient in front of Lin Fei, but outside, they were like peerless, great demon kings. Their methods were very fierce. The Invincible Alliance's methods couldn't withstand the three of them at all. Along the way, there were ruins everywhere. Dust flew everywhere. "Old Ghost Fong, you're courting death. You're going too far." A figure shot up into the sky, followed by a figure flying over. All of them were demigod experts. They were used to watch over the Invincible Alliance. He recognized these three people at a glance. Chapter 4956. Due to the order from the higher-ups, all of them had gone to look for Lin Mu. They had not expected three demigods to show up at this time. The 5 war gods of the Invincible Alliance were shocked by the appearance of the 3 demigods. Naturally, they recognized them at a glance. The Invincible Alliance really did not interfere with the 3 demigods. They minded their own business and minded their own business. Looking at the current situation, they really could not get used to it. "That's right, it's me, Old Man Fong. I'm here to cause trouble for the Daluo Heaven. Take this." Even if the 5 demigods had appeared, they would have attacked immediately. They did not think much about it. They had to perform well in front of the Lord and go all out. Naturally, they erupted with great deterrence. The 5 demigods from the Daluo Heaven were also extremely furious. They really didn't know who gave them the courage to cause trouble at their side. There was a loud rumbling sound. They also displayed their remarkable abilities. With the help of their god power, the deterrence that erupted was especially strong. Of course, they could only control the area. Otherwise, the entire Invincible Alliance of the Daluo Heaven would be completely destroyed. Lin Fei just stood there quietly. Of course, some invincible war gods also saw Lin Fei, but they did not recognize him. They just followed the demigods in and thought that he was a subordinate, so they swarmed over without saying a word. They could not defeat Lin Mu, but they could defeat a stinking brat. Everyone's minds were quite active, so they directly rushed over. However, before they could get close, the void collapsed. A ripple of power swept across their bodies. In an instant, he was killed in an instant. This instant kill caused the people who were originally ready to rush over to be so scared that they did not dare to move. They could not defeat this demigod. So why couldn't they defeat this young man? "I know who he is. He's Lin Mu. He's Lin Mu. He actually came to our Daluo Heaven." Lin Fei didn't change his appearance, so someone recognized him very quickly and cried out in surprise. Everyone was thoroughly shocked by this. Even the 5 demigods who were still fighting were the same. They had never thought that Lin Mu would walk right into their trap. He even ran to their great overarching heaven. It must be known that the order given by the Lord was very simple. No matter what, they had to capture this Lin Mu fellow. This guy had committed a serious crime. The 4 top powers were all out searching for him. Yet this fellow had actually come to their absolute heaven. It was simply a great merit. "You 4 restrain Old Ghost Fong and the others. I'll deal with this Lin Mu. I want to see what tricks he has up his sleeves. He's definitely planning something." A figure rushed out from the 5 demigods. It was a white-haired figure, who was also the strongest among them. He was at the peak of the demigod realm. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed a divine ability. God's Cage. Such a method was unleashed using divine power, so it was naturally very terrifying. It could trap whoever it wanted. It would be best if he could capture Lin Mu alive. Of course, it was also a test. He wanted to see how strong this guy was. "I'm guessing you're the strongest demigod in the Invincible Alliance." Lin Fei smiled faintly and walked out. The god's cage was instantly destroyed. It couldn't stop Lin Fei at all. As for Lin Fei, he sent out a punch, which transformed into a light spot. The light spot got closer and closer, instantly turning into an infinite light. Lin Fei did not intend to waste any time here, so he used his full strength right away. This old ancestor of the Alliance did not even think that Lin Mu would use his full strength. He did not even make a sound before he was destroyed by the light spot. This was one of the biggest benefits of having a strong physical body. In a head-on battle, no one was a match for him. The 4 demigods were indeed suppressing old Ghost Fong and the others. But in the blink of an eye, the strongest one among them was actually killed by Lin Mu. Under the bright light, they felt the aura of death. At this moment, they seemed to finally understand why the Lord had issued the order to mobilize 4 top powers to hunt down this Lin Mu. All of you can go down and accompany me. Lin Fei's figure flashed, and he instantly walked out of the bodies of the 4 demigods. Cracks instantly spread across their bodies, and with a crash, they turned to ash in a puff of smoke. As a result, the might of this spirit projection technique had become even stronger. These 4 demigods had only cultivated 300 to 400 streams of divine power. They looked very strong, but Lin Fei really did not think much of it. But to the experts of the Daluo Celestial, the entire sky was collapsing. It's over, it's over. Our invincible alliance is completely finished. The old ancestor is dead, the old ancestor is dead. The powerful old ancestor had died, just like that, in front of them. After Fang Shan and the others lost their opponents, they immediately set their eyes on the invincible war gods of the Daluo Celestial. After they came and went, they killed these invincible war gods, and then used a powerful technique to control all the disciples. Without the old ancestor to fight back, the others were no match at all. With a thought, Lin Fei arrived at the Daluo Celestial, the treasure vault of the Invincible Alliance. There were layers of formations here. Lin Fei's fist tore through the air and smashed through the formation from the outside. In an instant, all the formation was activated. Lin Fei also walked in. The power of the formations washed over Lin Fei's body and did not cause any damage to Lin Fei. Lin Fei also came in front of the door, and with a raise of his hand, the door was forcibly opened. Fang Shan and the other 2 demigods stood at the door. They were also extremely shocked in their hearts. They never thought that the Invincible Alliance would be destroyed just like that. Although some of the experts of the Invincible Alliance had been brought out, the forces here were still extremely strong. 5 demigods was no joke. Now that the 5 demigods were dead, the others could not do anything to them at all. This feeling was really exhilarating. To think that such a day would come for the Invincible Alliance. In the past, they had no lack of people bullying them because they had the advantage in numbers. This was really the case of the river flowing east for 30 years, and then west for 30 years. This also made them realize that they had made the right choice this time. They did not think that they would really have such a strong backer. It would not be easy for the experts on the 2nd level to come down. They could really be called kings on this level. This treasure vault was also filled with some formations and restrictions. Lin Fei did not stand on ceremony. With a wave of his hand, everywhere he passed there was a loud rumble. As he broke through the formations, he kept these things one by one without stopping at all. Chapter 4957. Inside a house, a figure suddenly opened his eyes and his expression changed. Not good. Something happened. In such a short period of time, several figures instantly came into the house. These people all had a strong aura. Even though there weren't many of them, if someone who knew them was here, they would definitely recognize that they were demigod experts. Alliance leader, what happened? These people were experts who were here to capture Lin Mu. After all, they had received orders from the higher-ups and naturally didn't dare to let their guard down. So they came immediately. This time, the alliance leader was personally leading the team. Everyone wanted to make a contribution. Everyone knew that the experts of the 4 top factions were all out to find Lin Mu. It was only a matter of time before they found him. And at this time, whoever found him and captured him would naturally make a great contribution. When the time came, they would definitely benefit. In everyone's eyes, this Lin Mu was a moving treasure box. Whoever got it first would be able to get what was inside the treasure box. The alliance leader of the Invincible Alliance was called Zhu Hua. This name wasn't considered common. Normally, people would call him alliance leader. Even the people of the 4 top factions liked to call him alliance leader because everyone was used to it. Just now, I received news that our base has been destroyed. I've received news that our nest has been destroyed. If I'm not mistaken, it should be done by that Lin Mu. Ju was said it very casually, but he couldn't hide the anger in his heart. It was as violent as thunder. Even the other demigod experts were stunned. They didn't dare to believe that the news was true. Alliance leader, you must be joking this time. Our invincible alliance's base, Dalio Heaven, has many arrays and 5 demigod experts guarding it. How can anyone barge in? Yes, who could be so powerful? Could that Lin Mu really be so powerful that he could defeat 5 demigods? These demigod experts found it hard to digest this news. They immediately contacted their subordinates in the Invincible Alliance, but they couldn't contact them at all. No matter who it was, even those demigod experts, there was no news at all. At this moment, their hearts sank. Dark clouds shrouded them. Let's go back now. They used all their treasures and didn't dare to stop. Lin Fei was sweeping through the Invincible Alliance in Daluo Heaven, so he left immediately. He headed to the next location. The next place was naturally the more mysterious Assassin's League. This organization was also very difficult to deal with. The Invincible Alliance was open and above board, but the Assassin Alliance was much more difficult to find. It was very difficult to find them because their nest was very mysterious. Because their lair was so mysterious, ordinary demigods would not be able to find it. Their hiding place was a mystery, but everyone knew that the Assassin's League had a small grotto heaven world, and it was a very secretive one. There was a karmic connection between Lin Fei and the Union of Assassins. Following this karmic connection, Lin Fei had found his way here. He knew that if he were to destroy the Invincible Alliance of the Absolute Heaven, he would have to destroy the Assassin League as well. This was the best way to reap the most benefits. In the treasury of the Invincible Alliance of the Absolute Heavens, there were indeed quite a number of items. For example, the power of faith. He had also obtained godhood, even though the quality was average. Most importantly, it was incomplete. This was also why the Invincible Alliance did not dare to refine it. An incomplete godhood like this, once refined, could lead to cultivation deviation. No matter what, it was still a godhood, and it was still useful to Lin Fei. The nest of the Assassin's League was not that easy to find. Even if there was a karmic connection, Lin Fei's journey here had been intermittent. To Lin Fei, this was not a big deal. It was just a matter of time, going in circles, stopping, walking. Lin Fei finally found the Assassin's League. When he saw the Assassin's League, Lin Fei and the 3 demigods were a little surprised. They were actually in an unassuming village. This place was really different from the Grotto Heaven world they had imagined. Lin Fei knew that this place was the Assassin's League. It was definitely not above ground, so the real Assassin's League was probably underground. Lin Fei tried to sense it again, and indeed he could sense that there seemed to be an underground palace below. This place is the Assassin's League. This is too real. All of them had searched for the nest of the Assassin's League before. It was a pity that they could not find it. The Assassin's League was like a knife in the dark, and no one could predict when it would stab you. Even if they were demigods, if they really offended the Assassin's League, they would still dare to kill a god. Something like this had happened in the past as well. At that time, they were not considered strong, but they had heard of a demigod being hunted down by the Assassin's League. In the end, a god was killed, and it caused a huge commotion. From then on, even demigods did not dare to offend the Assassin's League. God knows how many people have tried to find the Assassin's League, but unfortunately, no one has succeeded. Now that they had finally seen the nest of the Assassin's League, it was completely different from what they had imagined. It was really too different. Sir, should we destroy this town first and lure out the experts of the Assassin's League? Fang Shan was the most excited one. Back then, he had also been hunted down by the Assassin's League, and he had only managed to avoid it because he had been lucky. Therefore, the Assassin's League had helped him a lot in becoming a demigod. The people on the ground are all average, but they are just spies. They don't even know that they were placed outside by the Assassins' League. Once we are outside, we can just go straight to the underground palace. With a greater teleportation, Lin Fei brought the 3 demigods to the nest of the Assassins' League. Indeed, there was a huge underground palace in the depths of the ground. A super formation was set up, isolating all auras. Even if they used powerful treasures, they would not be able to find this place. This place seemed to have jumped out of the 5 elements and belonged to a special existence, the nest of the Assassins' League. This underground palace was very old. No one knew how long it had existed. However, they could sense that there were quite a number of experts in this underground palace. The Invincible Alliance seemed to be much weaker than the Assassins' League. At the very least, Lin Fei could sense the auras of 7 demigod experts here. Other than that, there was an even more dangerous aura. Although he could not sense the level of the aura, Lin Fei knew that this was probably the strongest existence there. However, there was a problem with this situation. Kill. Chapter 4958. The Assassins' League had always been elusive because their location was rather hidden. Even if they used some supreme treasures, they would not be able to find the Assassins' League. However, Lin Fei had come here today. The 3 demigods made their move instantly. The moment they sent out their treasures, they smashed down. The Assassins' League's members were caught off guard by this single exchange. Figures flew out in an instant. However, as soon as they flew out, they were swept away by a stream of light and killed one after another. Demigods! Demigods! The first batch of people who came out were instantly annihilated. The second batch did not dare to come out at all as they came to their senses. Demigods! Especially when they saw the 3 demigods standing in the sky, it was even more unbelievable. The nest of the Assassins' League had actually been discovered. Most importantly, they had snuck in without anyone noticing. How did the people outside do things? Logically speaking, it was impossible. From the outside to the Assassins' League, there were more than a dozen formations. These formations were connected one after another. Once one was triggered, the other formations would be triggered. It could be said to be a super invincible formation. Back then, several demigod powerhouses had come in, but they could not break through this formation. They were killed inside. Ever since then, the headquarters of the Alliance had been safe and sound. However, the situation before them was really unbelievable. Someone had actually come in, and it was 3 demigods. The territory of the Assassins' League is not a place where you 3 demigods can act presumptuously. A majestic voice bellowed out. Following that, a figure charged over like a ray of light. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A sound that was like a tidal wave swept over in an instant. Unbeknownst to them, a vast ocean had suddenly appeared behind them, and a giant face had appeared. Fang Shan and the other 2 did not dare to be careless. In a short period of time, the 3 of them had developed a certain level of tacit understanding and withstood this move. Once they withstood this move, the seawater in the sky instantly returned to its original state. Following that, a figure walked out, and all the seawater entered his body. Sea god, water everywhere. Fang Shan recognized the man with a single glance. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Not only that, you've even gotten stronger and joined the Union of Assassins. So it's you, Fang Shan, and you 2 old fogies. I didn't expect you to be so bold as to barge into the League of Assassins. Tell me, how did you get in here? If you tell us everything honestly, we might spare your lives. If you don't, you won't even have a corpse left. Shui Sifang's face was also gloomy. He was considered a demigod expert, but he didn't expect 3 demigods to barge in. Just like that, he had killed many experts from the Assassins' League. These were the seeds of the Assassins' League, and it was not easy to nurture them. In the end, they had suffered such heavy losses. How was he supposed to explain this to them? So. A few more figures came out, all of them with the strength of a demigod, because war gods didn't dare to come. Once a demigod made a move, the war god would definitely die. It was that simple. What's the point of talking to them? Just take them down. We'll find out how they got in through torture. A black-faced demigod snorted coldly. They had so many demigods. How could they not take out 3 demigod experts? What a joke. The strongest on this level were the experts at the peak of the demigod level. Moreover, they had come to the Assassin's League. They could deal with them however they wanted. It was just a matter of a word. Kill. Without any hesitation, Fang Shan and the other 2 demigods made their move. Even with so many demigod experts present, it was the same. They didn't show any mercy when they made their move. These demigods were slightly shocked. They didn't expect these 3 guys to be so afraid of death. Facing so many demigods, how could they beat them? Lin Fei just watched quietly. These demigods from the Assassin's League were indeed quite strong, but they couldn't change the fact that they liked to use assassin's methods. This was a more close combat method. This way, Fang Shan and the other 2 had a certain amount of pressure. With so many demigods attacking, it was naturally not easy to deal with them. Actually, Lin Fei could have made his move right from the start. However, it was rare for him to have a chance to train these 3 demigods. Naturally, he had to train them well. As long as they weren't killed instantly, there was nothing to worry about. The Invincible Alliance's demigods attacked openly. The Assassin's League's demigods had an assassin's method of attack. This gave Lin Fei some ideas. Boom! Spiritual descent appeared immediately. In the blink of an eye, these demigods were sent flying. An imprint instantly fell on their hearts. When they smashed onto the ground, they appeared to be in a trance. In that short period of time, Lin Fei had planted an imprint in their bodies. What was the strongest on this level? Of course, it was the demigod experts. Lin Fei naturally wouldn't miss it. Therefore, he took down all these demigods who specialized in assassin's methods. You can get out now. Lin Fei punched into the distance. In the distance, there was a very inconspicuous place. However, with this punch, a black hole appeared. A strong beam of divine light exploded from within. It shot into the sky and shook the entire underground palace. A figure followed. Third Elder. Many people cried out in surprise. Obviously, they recognized the 3rd ancestor who had just walked out. The 3rd ancestor's entire body was filled with death chi, but his strength was terrifying. This was the strongest power that Lin Fei had sensed. So, it's someone who is about to die. Isn't it better for him to stay alive? Why is there a need to watch from the side? Don't you think so? The 3rd Elder was the strongest in the Assassin's League. Of course, there was a problem with his strength. This was because he was filled with death energy and couldn't move much. Once he moved, he would use up a small amount of life force and get closer and closer to death. Stabbing God 3 strikes. The 3rd Elder didn't stop at all. An afterimage appeared, and in an instant he unleashed his strongest 3 attacks. No one knew better than him how difficult it was to deal with this young man in front of him. He was actually moved by 1 punch. That was why he decided to use his strongest 3 strikes. This was the only way to kill this guy. If he killed this guy, the other 3 demigods would be vulnerable. Only this person in front of him was the most dangerous. The first strike landed on Lin Fei's body, leaving a faint wound. This was the first time that Lin Fei had been injured since his body had reached the phenomenal success stage. Invincible King Upgrade's Faultless chapter will continue to be updated on Handplay Bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please collect and recommend Handplay Bar. Those who like Invincible King Upgrade, please collect. Invincible King Handplay Bar updates the fastest. Chapter 4959. The dying 3rd Old Ancestor was indeed very powerful. The first blow had already injured Lin Fei's body. Then came the second blow, and then the third. The power of each blow had been increased to a certain extent, and there was also a certain attribute enhancement. It could be said that it was terrifying. Even a real peak demigod expert would be killed by these 3 blows. There was no way he could resist at all. The third ancestor, who was on the verge of death, did not stop for even a second. It could be said that it was one move after another. This was the only strength that the third old ancestor had. He had to take advantage of this opportunity to kill the man in front of him. Only by killing the man in front of him could he solve the remaining problems. The experts of the Assassins' League all stopped and looked at the scene not far away. The third old ancestor is mighty and domineering. The third old ancestor is mighty and domineering. How dare that puppy come to the Assassins' League and behave atrociously? He should look in the mirror and see who he is. No matter who he is, he can't withstand the attack of the old ancestor. He will definitely die. None of the people of the Assassins' League present thought that this young man could withstand the attack of the old ancestor. If he could withstand it, then the old ancestor would not be the old ancestor. One could imagine how miserable this guy was. Even the third ancestor was the same. Even though he was panting and his face was pale, and he had consumed a lot of energy, he was very confident in his 3 moves. He would definitely be able to kill this guy. There was no guy that he could not kill. You're powerful, but you're still not good enough. Lin Fei walked out. Although there was a big wound on his body, no one knew better than him that he had withstood the attack of a peak demigod. The strength of this old ancestor was far stronger than a peak demigod. He was almost at the level of a lower celestial. Everyone who was cheering was instantly speechless. They looked at the figure that appeared and found it very hard to accept. Their eyeballs almost fell out. That guy is actually fine. He's not injured at all. That was done by the third old ancestor himself. Everyone knew that the third old ancestor was very famous. You're much more powerful than I thought. You can even withstand 3 of my strongest moves. No wonder the people above want to catch you. But you're not much better off. I've already informed the people of the Assassins' League. They will come back as soon as possible. You can't escape at all. The third old ancestor's expression suddenly changed. With a clatter, a black curtain suddenly appeared in the Assassins' League, covering the whole place. Godlock formation, open for me. This formation was the most powerful formation of the assassin formation. Back in the day, a low god had barged in and was trapped in this formation. His strength was obliterated and he was finally killed. However, not many people knew about this. They all thought that it was a demigod powerhouse. In fact, it was a lower god who came in. He was killed alive. Even a lower celestial wouldn't dare to be presumptuous here, let alone a kid. The formation of the Assassins' League has been opened. Even if a great firmament immortal came, he can't leave here. You'd better accept your fate. The third old ancestor was completely relieved. As long as this guy was trapped here, there was nothing to worry about. As soon as the formation was opened, the originally depressed experts of the Assassins' League became happy. No one knew better than them that once the formation was opened, even a top expert would not be able to break in from the outside. This guy would definitely not be able to escape. Just now, they already knew who this person was. It was Lin Mu. They heard that this guy had committed a big crime. Of course, the people below didn't know. As the higher-ups, they more or less received some news. The experts of the Assassins' League had gone out to find this guy. They didn't expect that this guy would come to their Assassins' League without anyone knowing. Lin Fei could also feel the power of this formation. As expected of the Assassins' League, they actually had such a formation. It was no wonder that those people didn't dare to attack. If they really attacked, once the formation was opened, everyone would be in trouble. He finally learned something new. This formation is indeed very powerful. However, I don't know if you've thought of one thing. Do you think you guys can withstand it if such a powerful person like me is trapped here? Lin Fei laughed. Walala, walala. The injuries on his body recovered in an instant. One punch. A long dragon of power spiraled out of the dragon's nest. A loud rumbling sound rang out. The void collapsed. Wherever it passed, No one could resist it. Even the third old ancestor was sent flying by this huge dragon. Then, as if the dragon had a consciousness, it instantly wrapped around the third old ancestor. The third old ancestor's body surged with divine light, trying to blast away this power. However, this power wasn't a match for this huge dragon. Beside their ears, they could also hear Lin Fei's voice. "You don't have much lifespan left. Why don't you just stay alive and come to deal with me? Then let me send you on your way." Walala, the long dragon of power tore, and the third old ancestor's divine light was wiped out. With a walala, it turned into pieces. The demigods, including the higher-ups and elders, instantly cried. The strongest third old ancestor of the Assassin's League was killed just like that. At the same time, they felt a chill in their hearts. Of course, they had heard Lin Fei's words clearly. The activation of the formation was indeed beneficial to them. However, they seemed to have underestimated one thing. If such a huge beast was placed here, would they be able to withstand it? This formation was indeed quite powerful. This also caused the people of the Assassin's League to lose their escape route. Lin Fei's body flashed, and there was a loud, rumbling sound. The demigod powerhouses seemed to have suffered a powerful attack. One by one, they fell to the ground, unable to withstand it at all. Lin Fei was already very powerful. Moreover, he wasn't a demigod, but a top-notch powerhouse who could fight with the power of a lower god. Once he made his move, they naturally felt despair. Seal after seal was placed directly on their bodies. In an instant, these demigods of the Assassin's League were all subdued. Take down the entire Assassin's League. It would be a pity if we don't use such a good formation. Didn't they come looking for me? Then I'll do as they wish. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. He immediately thought of an idea. This formation was so powerful. It would be a pity if he didn't use it. This was called the use of resources. He could pull the remaining people from the Abyss and Fengyan Tower over. He believed that they would be very interested